make a motion, please use your hand, raise your hand through Zoom. If you most of you know where the raise hand function is. If you have any problems with it, please let Marlene know, and she'll gladly help you. Let's see. Oh, actually, everything, questions and statements, please let them be on topic and be as brief as possible. The chat function should not be used for discussing CB11 business. This is a public meeting, so it should be free and open. All comments should be free and open to the public, to ensure transparency. Thing is that members of the public, if you have a question or a comment about the subject that's on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and you will be recognized. Okay, now, okay, Marlene, if you like, if you will take attendance, please.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'll do it right after you call the meeting to order. Right after.
That's right. The meeting is called to order at 6:51 p.m. And now, Marlene, please call the roll, please.
Sure. Stephanie Arroyo. Oh, Stephanie's out.
Excuse me.
Raja Flores.
Present.
Thank you. John Green.
Here.
Robert Harvey.
Present.
Thanks. Jada Heredia. Alonzo Johnson.
Here.
Robin Krinsky.
Here.
Beverly Pabon.
Present.
Dawn Sanders.
Present.
And Candy Vivas Vasquez.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. The agenda was sent out to the committee via email, and it is available on our website. So if there are no objections from the committee, for the adoption of the agenda, are there any objections? Seeing no hands raised, I don't think. Well, we do have a hand. Candy?
Motion to accept the agenda.
Not necessary. Candy is basically done by affirmation for all intents and purposes. But thank you. The agenda is adopted. Now, the February minutes have not been, so they will be adopted at the April meeting. Okay, so basically that's it. Okay, are there any announcements that any members of the committee may have? No. Okay, are there any announcements for anyone from the public? Looks like there's nothing there either. Okay. Informational updates. Before we get to what's on the screen, there is something that I'd like to address. The Department of Health is conducting a building investigation in buildings in East River houses for Legionnaire's disease, because by law, if there are 2 cases within a 12-month period, they must inspect the water system. Now, a meeting was held on last Tuesday. That was the 24th. Now, I attended the meeting, and unfortunately, from what I could see, there weren't very many residents of East River there. It seems like no one knew. And to be honest with you, I didn't know until Angel Mesquine sent me an email about 2.5 hours before the meeting took place. The Department of Health sent me an email 30 minutes before the meeting. So that means so the thing is that I already knew about, but 30 minutes notice is a bit much. And the thing is that it seems like there was a couple of residents there that said that they found out about it and they told as many of their neighbors as possible. I mean, this is really unacceptable. If they want cooperation from the residents, they should give them a heads up when this meeting is about to take place, and what they have to do to ensure that they stay healthy. That's all I really have to say about that. I know that probably some members of the committee may not have a comment, but I will ask, do you have a comment? Beverly?
Yes, yes, John, I also got that email from Angel. In regards to the Department of Health giving you 30 minutes, and most of the tenants in the building did not know, is there anything that can be done in the future to get these type of updates when it's, dealing with such a illness like the disease like this?
Well, I'm really not sure, but the one thing that I would like to do personally is that I'm going to try to get get in contact with the TA president of East River Houses and talk to her. As a matter of fact, I believe she's a former public member of the community board, and like to see what she says and what's going on there. And the thing is that I would like to also try to approach Diana Ayala, because as a member of her staff was there, and she was not happy about this either, because the thing says the residents should know this is important. And so those are the two things that I would like to do: get in touch with the TA president and with Diana Ayala.
Okay, come on, let's get going.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Are there any comments or questions from the public? Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the committee, and because this is important when you're talking about health, and especially when as much as basically the world has been through the last couple of years, I think it's a rather lackluster effort from the health department and from NYCHA itself, and from NYCHA as well. But anyway, that I will leave it at that. Now, the informational update that's on the screen, I will address now. The 4218 program dates back to 1971 and derives its name from the section number of the New York property tax law. This program resulted in the construction of multi-unit residential buildings, thus causing more affordable housing throughout New York City, and the reduction in property taxes you owe for the term of the program. Depending on approval, 421A tax savings last between 10 and 25 years. The property becomes fully taxable upon expiration of the abatement. Now there is someone here a couple of people here who are here to speak on this. Marlene, is Judith Fabrero here?
Yes, Judith, and I see Tamika Mapp, who also wanted to speak on the topic, so I'll just unmute them both. And District Leader William Smith is also here. So what I will do is I will promote to panelists.
Okay.
For speaking. So it's just easier for you to unmute yourself, and then I'll demote you when done.
Okay.
So just give me 2 seconds to do that for them. So you all just accept the promotion so you can move to the other screen, please. And then you can mute and unmute yourselves. Tamika Mapp, you can mute and unmute yourself. District Leader Smith, you can mute and unmute yourself. Judith, you can mute and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're clear.
Okay. So should I go first, Tamika, or Will, because I know you have another Zoom meeting?
Yeah, go ahead and go first, and then I'll piggyback after you, Judith.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, as you heard John say, the program started, the 421A program started in the 70s under the auspices of affordable housing. And there are rentals, co-ops, townhouses, all under this particular program that is getting ready to expire, which would leave hundreds of people out of this program and nowhere to go. We have 600 lots under this program in East Harlem alone. We have seniors under this program who basically came into this program under the lottery system and made this their home until the day they are no longer existing. We're looking for support or some sort of resolution to maintain this program for all of these people. This is going to be hundreds of people. On the Madison Avenue corridor alone would be 300 to 400 people out of their homes. That's not including the townhouses on the side streets or on the other 600 lots that are under this program. I know that Dawn Sanders and Candy know about it, and so does Xavier. I had gone to Robert Rodriguez when he was the state assemblyman, and Dawn was working for him at that point. So basically, this is what we're asking for, is support or some sort of resolution so that this expiration doesn't take place, or at least there is a similar program that we can be put into, because we will have hundreds of people displaced and not knowing where they're going to go. So I don't know, Tamika or Will, do you want to say anything? I know Candy knows about it, Dawn knows about it, and Xavier knows about it.
I just want to say thank you, Chair, for letting us talk about this issue. I know on 119th Street, I am in a co-op building that's about to expire in 15 years. And right now, when I first moved into my apartment, which is to purchase, and I'm supposed to be aging in place in this apartment, the maintenance was very low. Now my maintenance is actually toppling what my mortgage payments is going to be. So I'm in my 40s. Can you just imagine people that's in their 50s and 60s is having this problem and actually about to be out of their homes? So we're just, right now, the government really don't have a placeholder. They want to do 485W. 485W is the same thing as 421A. So we're like, well, if 485W is the same as 421A, why don't we ask support on making sure that they keep it until more of a long-term solution comes in place? In my eyes, when we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about housing that people can afford at their price point. And I believe that the government should have it always in their budget to keep it affordable, so we don't have this issue again, because the 485W is for 40 years. So we're going to be back another 40 years talking about the same issue. So thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I chime in for just a minute? You were right, Tamika. Yes, people have aged in place. What about the seniors that are in their 70s, some even in their 80s? What's going to happen to them? They're on fixed incomes also. So that's an issue that we really, really have to confront. We can't toss them out of their homes that they made. So that's really an issue. And I know, Candy, you know about it. Dawn, you know about it. Well, if Will is on, Will, can he speak to it also?
Yes, thank you, Judith. And I want to thank the Community Board and the Housing Committee for affording me the opportunity just to deliver some brief remarks in regards to this program. I'm it's very discouraging, as seems to be a common theme now in terms of a lot of these key programs that our residents depend on. And then, I mean, it's disappointing in terms of the fact that we've been thinking about what the reality would be like if this program were to expire. And as I was listening to Judith and State Committee Member Mapp's comments, I'm reminded of June 2015, when the rent regulations in the state of New York expired. And we were worried about how that would impact not only affordability, but the ability for people to remain in their homes. So we definitely do not want that, think about that again. I think our residents, especially our seniors who are on fixed incomes, and just any everyday resident of not only our community, but New York City, deserves the peace of mind that their home will be, can be preserved in some capacity. So with this, tax break set to expire on the 15th of this June, it presents, our state legislators, not only our state representatives, but also on the Housing Committee and Ways and Means and other committees to think about ways that all of the committees can work together on how to not only strengthen this program, but also take it to the next level in terms of how we address the broader focus, which is obviously been the core focus of this committee in terms of how do we think about preserving affordability and how do we take it, like I said, again, take it to the next level. Our sense of affordability, obviously based on inflation and the cost of living in our community, is significant. So the burden is on our state legislators and on all of them, the entire both chambers, to make sure they can get together so that way, like I said, 2015 and the prospect of that critical program expiring does not become a reality. And I just want to let everyone know that, I'm here to help. All of your representatives are here to help. And just going to require a team effort, not only on the East Harlem level, but across our city to make sure this program is preserved. And I thank everyone for your continued commitment to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, one other thing, most of the people that are in this 421A housing have been here for 20 years. So at this point, to displace people, especially seniors that have been here for 20 years, is really a hard road to go. So if anybody on the Housing Committee has anything to say, that would be great. I'm a member, but I'm not on housing. So Xavier, I spoke to you about it. Candy knows about it, and Dawn knows about it.
John, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, Judith and William and Tamika. There is a hand raised. Beverly?
Yes. Can someone give me information about why would they be displaced or kicked out of their apartments? Is it because now the regular tax levies, the taxes will be regular for them to have to pay? Is that why they would be displaced or moved out of their apartments?
What would happen is if the 421A expires, that will increase their maintenance possibly up to $2,000 a month, because the 421A is a tax abatement. And that's the way these buildings and townhouses and like I said, 600,
developers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it becomes unaffordable. Who can pay $2,000, $1,700, or even more on maintenance, and they still have mortgages? So it's really a hard road to go. And we have to really do something about this, because seniors, what are seniors going to do? They're on fixed incomes. And that's basically what it is. It was the tax abatement. And we in this community fight tooth and nail for affordable housing all the time. And I've been on the board for a long time, and we fight constantly for affordable housing. But yet taking this 421A or any of these programs away, we are no longer an affordable area. This is crazy.
To take Judith's situation, I moved in 2013. Maintenance was $800. My mortgage was $2,700. Now my maintenance is $1,108 because we're preparing ourselves for when our tax abatement expire, which is in 15 years.
And it's no way, this, when y'all say this expires, that means this 421 will not exist anymore. And would y'all be able to go into like a J51 or something like that? Would that help for a tax abatement, a different type of tax program?
I think the J51 that you're speaking of, I think it might just, there are certain programs that are just for rentals, but don't forget, there are co-ops, townhouses, and rentals, all under this 421A. And like I said, 600 lots within just the East Harlem community. So that's a lot of people that would be displaced, and seniors, especially on fixed incomes.
Yeah, I understand now. And I brought this up also at another meeting regarding the LITC, I forgot the other letter, all these other programs that they have that only last like for 30 years. And one of the developers, I was asking, I'm thinking about the next generation in our community being able to afford to stay in the community that they was raised and culturally brought up in, be able to stay there. And only from one said, they would renew it, but that's hopefully if the program is still there. But we need something definitely more permanent for these type of programs, because I know there was a big thing with the Miss Shalama programs,
correct.
And it was a lot of uproar about that, so yes, our elected officials should look at something, or we should come up with something, that's more permanent, where 30 years, because 30 years is only one generation, hopefully, for any families, but we need something more much longer term than this. And I also worry about those programs that we are okaying now that have these programs in place. And 30 years is it seems like it's a long time, but it really not. Can expire, and we'll have all these properties that we have now that's being built up in East Harlem not affordable anymore, so.
Yeah, well, the developers now that are building under these programs are for a 40-year tax abatement. But even still, I mean, eventually when people age in place, what's going to happen to when they become seniors?
Right. And SCREE would not apply to them also?
No, because that's only rental.
That's only for rentals. Okay. I'm just trying to get all of them together. I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Well, John, I'm really asking that the board either support us or write a resolution to the political arena about this. And it's got to be known, because this is coming up very, very quickly, very quickly. It's the person who was just speaking. I'm sorry, I didn't know your name, because we haven't had in-person meetings, so I don't know a lot of the new people on the board, but this is coming up very, very quickly. And my fear is when it starts, 2024 is going to be the first increment of this 421 tax. So we don't really have much time. I don't know, Xavier, do you have anything to say since you're the chair of the board?
John, I'm sorry, Judith, Dawn has had her hand up for a while.
Oh, okay, great.
William Smith just put his hand up, so if you would like to
Okay, great.
recognize Dawn and
Dawn,
then.
Dawn, the floor is yours, Dawn.
Thank you so much, Chair. I definitely want to chime in, and I was going to ask if I could make a motion for a resolution, but I don't know if we've had enough discussion and question and answer. And I did see some very pertinent information in the chat. So I'm thinking that some of that information should probably go on the record. But regardless, I started with HPD in the mid to late 90s. And at that time, and so this was before I was working with Assemblymember Rodriguez at the time. And at the time, the impetus at HPD was home ownership. And there was no emphasis on rentals. Everything was about third-party transfer and removing these blighted apartments and having the people who live there own those apartments. And I thought it was a really strong program that basically emptied out most of HPD's portfolio. So now that we're in this situation and looking at what Judith is saying, what Tamika's saying, these are homeowners who are also in danger of losing their homes. And I think that when HPD made these commitments to these types of developments, there should have been a little bit more thinking ahead. And this was late 90s, so this was not 30 years ago. So I just, obviously we should discuss more, but my understanding is that there should be some sort of emergency plan. HPD should have had something lined up, or we might have to put something as an emergency line item in the state budget in the next few weeks in order to address this. I don't know that if it doesn't go into the state budget, or if we don't get some clarity from HPD, I don't know how we can fix this without that. So I see Xavier and Candy, so hopefully some more ideas. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dawn. William?
I just wanted to say that I think that a resolution from the committee, if not a resolution resolution from the committee on your way to a resolution from the community board, in hopes of that being a momentum pusher with the city council resolution, in hopes that would put pressure on the state legislature, seeing that that's the entity that will have to make the necessary revisions. So it's going to require a lot of advocacy and organizing. So it probably would be best that continue these conversations either offline or through the committee and other meetings. But I just want to let you know that we'll do everything that we can do from a political organizing perspective, on the ground in terms of reaching out to stakeholders to support this effort. So, like I said, any way that we can help.
Okay, thank you, William. Xavier?
Yes, thank you, John, and thank you, everyone, for bringing this. And Judith, I appreciate the deep concern. 421A has been used in many instances to provide affordable housing, but also too in other ways. It's never fully examined. Oftentimes it's brought up in issues of how the developers are utilizing it to build and then capitalize off of that investment. If anything is to be brought up, and again, we have had a history of bringing up resolutions or crafting, discussing, and then presenting the following month for a vote. Just as a reminder, however, that does not preclude this committee from having a discussion under new business, which is where the appropriate section of the agenda should be utilized. So I think that, again, any resolution that's to be considered, and again, should be taken on under the new business section. That being said, it would need to be fleshed out fairly well. And we have set the precedent for citing our resolutions with historical context, and oftentimes referring to beyond newspaper articles, but referring to white papers and other historical documents to justify our position. Again, so I would recommend further discussion under the new business section, so we can move the agenda along and then have a more robust discussion at that time. Thank you, everyone who's opined on the issue. your input is greatly valued. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Candy?
Yeah, hi, good evening. My sentiments are the same. That's exactly what I was gonna suggest. Thanks, Xavier, for putting it out there. I think it should be brought up on the new business, or even schedule a meeting for next month to really start the ball rolling and have a more longer dialogue. Because I know we have a long meeting tonight. And since this was being presented just now, asking for a resolution, I think we should be able to give other residents and also some developers have some input in it, because it's going to impact everyone. Without, that's more on a development level and homeowners level as well. So I really believe that we should have enough time to outreach other residents and developers as well, to let them know how that's going to impact, so like that we can come up with a better resolution put together, hearing it from both sides on how that's going to impact, and then addressing it to the elected officials on both city and state level. That's what I wanted to say.
Candy?
Candy, I totally agree. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Candy, it's Judith. I already sent an email to Shanna at SBI's office, and we've already had a Zoom call with our new council member, Christian Jordan Richardson. We're trying to get to Cordell Cleary. So we have reached out to a lot of people so far, like Tamika, Will Smith, and Candy, I know you know all about this because, and so does Dawn, because I did go to Robert Rodriguez quite some years ago, but he said it was too soon to start anything. So I am really hoping that this is coming up so quickly that I am just hoping that people aren't going to wind up in the street. There are hundreds of people in this situation. And I don't mean like 100, I mean hundreds, because there's over 600 lots under this program, just in East Harlem. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you also for letting me speak.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, we'll go on with, we do have one more informational update.
I just wanted to close out and just say that, this is budget season for state legislators. And so this is really something that we should tomorrow call our state legislators about and call Cordell's office about, because we don't want to wait until after the budget is passed and realize we needed some sort of emergency funding for our homeowners. So just putting that back out there just one more time, because that's when you came to Robert, I mean, that was something that he would push in the budget, the upcoming budget. Right. So we don't want to wait till the budget cycle is over and then realize that we didn't make any provisions for added funding. All right, that's it for me.
Well,
Thank you, Dawn, and that's true. I appreciate that. Dawn,
you're right, because the state budget takes effect in 31 days. You're absolutely right. But we will continue from there. Basically, we have. Oh, actually, we're finished with. We have actually the presentations. Okay. Well, first, the Carolina, also known as Lexington Gardens, is a new affordable mixed-use development located between 107th and 108th Streets and Park Avenue at Lexington Avenue. It includes 423 units of affordable housing for households earning 50 to 130% of area median income. This property is already built and is leased up. Are the people here from Talprop, Marlene?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Green. This is Joseph Tall from Talprop Equities. We also here with Christopher Spring, who was our representative who participated in the construction and development and lease up of that building, and Paul Prue, who is our zoning and land use lawyer. I just want to say that, first of all, thank you for including us in this meeting. It's a pleasure to speak again to the members of Community Board 11, who we've obviously have worked with on a number of occasions on a number of projects. I'd just like to say we're very proud of Lexington Gardens 2, or the Carolina, in terms of the way it turned out, the quality of the building, the things that the building has, and the fact that we were able to offer a very significant number of apartments to low-income folks, as well as folks who are earning a little bit higher, up to 130% of AMI. Christopher Spring of our firm, I think, can discuss a little more specifically the lease up of the building and the community preferences and all of those issues related to the property. Chris, can you talk about that?
Sure, thanks, Joe. Yes, so the Carolina is fully leased at this point, both on the residential side as well as the commercial side. We have Northside School for Development in there. They've actually converted their rental lease to ownership. We have NYPD that is also at the location, and we built a parking garage for their emergency services unit, and they're based out of the building as well. Also, Union Settlement has their headquarters there. And we also have Spectrum Cable, which opened up a retail store on the Lexington Avenue side. So that all that space is leased and occupied. And the residential, fortunately, is 100% leased as well. So we're very happy with the outcome there, and I think it's a great addition to East Harlem.
What percentage of the units, Chris, were community preference? 50% or?
Yeah, 50%. That's correct, Joe. And one thing on this slide, there is an error there. I'm not sure. This might have been an older slide. It's the first I'm seeing it, but there's 400 units there, and they range from 30% AMI up to 130.
Okay, is that your entire presentation, sir?
Yeah, we were just asked to give an update on the Carolina as far as the lease up was concerned. So that's the update on the lease up. We also were going to speak about, we're working on a new development project on 127th Street and Park Avenue, which we have our land counsel on, Paul Prue, who could give an update to the committee about.
Well, before you do, I do have a question.
Okay.
I know that it's total, that's leased up already. But how did you market the building to residents?
So we did a lottery with, obviously in conjunction with HPD and HDC. We had a 50% community board preference on the unit we had on the building. I'm sorry. We had a fair amount of interest in the building, and we were able to fully lease the building. It obviously, we did have some slow periods. We did this in the middle of COVID, when the strictest portions of the lockdown were in effect, but we were able to, obviously fill the building, and, make our tax credit requirements as well.
Thank you. Are there any amenities in the building?
There are. So we have two gyms. We have an east and west tower. Each tower has its own fitness facility. We have bike storage. We have outdoor terrace space, community outdoor terrace space. We have 2 laundry rooms, one for each tower. We have an upper roof. We have an upper terrace on the 12th floor. It's community space as well. So yeah, the building has a full range of amenities.
Are they fully operational now?
They are, yes.
And are all residents entitled to access to the amenities?
Yes, they are. All residents have access during normal operating hours. They're not 24/7 for the gym or the terrace or laundry room, but during operating hours, everyone has equal access.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Oh, Candy?
Hi, I have a question. How are you doing the security to, control anything that may happen on Park Avenue or on Lexington?
The building does not have security other than it has access control on all the doors where you need an electronic fob to enter both the residential lobbies, storage rooms, gym, laundry room. We have, a whole array of cameras and certain alarm doors, but we do not have live security in the building.
But do you have virtual cameras that should anything happen to the tenants or anyone, because, things are happening. How is it that the tenants are secure, virtually and, to have someone manning the place?
Our cameras are backed up, on a cloud-based system, but they are not monitored virtually by an outside company.
Okay, so not even by management?
Well, sure, management looks at it, for certain circumstances, but we don't have, if you're talking about a virtual doorman type thing where somebody's watching an array of cameras, kind of 24 hours a day, we do not have that. But we have a full camera system that covers, most parts of the building. Like I said, that's backed up. So if something were to happen, we could always go back and reference tape.
Okay, because it's just concerning because, with what's going on with so much crime and everything, and people are moving in, you want to make sure that there's public safety and that, that should anything happen, how can you track or have anything documented if there's no cameras? But you're saying you have virtual cameras?
So there's a full camera system and it's backed up for, at least a month. So if something did happen after the fact, we can always go back to the cameras and, replay it. That we can do.
Chris, how many cameras are there altogether on the two buildings?
Over 100 cameras in the buildings. There's tons of cameras which are recording, but I just want to make clear that there is no live security on site or off site monitoring those cameers.
Okay, but I'd like to also say that, in addition to the 100 or so cameras that are recording, most of the locations in and around the two buildings, first of all, the NYPD, before we developed this building, had a surface parking lot on part of the site. So we were required to build them a parking garage as part of the development. So there are police all over this building coming and going all the time. Really 24/7, they're coming in at all hours. So they are there. If we had to reach out to the police about anything, they're usually, some members of NYPD who are there. There also are a number of building staff, live-in super, building engineer, porters, other people who either live in the building or work in the building on a pretty constant basis. So even though we do not have, a specific job title of security guard at the building, as we've said, we do have a tremendous amount of cameras and a supervisory presence certainly is there pretty much on a constant basis.
Okay. Just public safety these days is more important and it's part of the quality of living for the tenants and the community at large.
For sure. I mean, I was in my office on 126th Street 2 weeks ago, 126 between Park and Lex, right next to where this big development site is that we're working on. And I'm sitting in my office and I hear pop, 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 pop. And then I hear what sounds like a motorcycle racing up the street. And apparently somebody just rode a motorcycle up to the front door of the building, fired 4 shots into the lobby, went away on the motorcycle. And I heard the shots in my office, just like I'm talking to you here. So believe me, we are very concerned about security.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. Are there any other questions from the committee? Are there any questions from the public?
John Beverly has her hand raised from the committee, and you
Oh,
a hand raised in the public from District Leader Smith.
okay, Beverly, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. I want to ask about the breakdown regarding the AMI to the units. Can you give us a rough estimate about, you said your things is from 30% to 130 AMI. Can you give me a breakdown, of general breakdown of the 423 units, you know, how was they broke down? Because you are 100% leased. So how did that fan out for that?
So we had six units that were project-based subsidy units. We had 119 units that were 30% or below. We had 80 units that were 50 or below. We had 72 that were 60%, and then the balance were 130% units.
Okay, and I did have another question regarding the AMI, but that's it for now. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. You said William Smith, Marlene?
Yes, you have
Okay, William, the floor is yours.
public, District Leader Smith and Marguerite. So
Yeah, okay, William, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to know, and this is for Mr. Toll. In regards to this property, so thank you for this presentation. You know, the area and that surrounding area is facing a significant amount of challenges, has a significant amount of illicit activity at various moments. And I worry because of the lack of security, and thank you, Candy, for highlighting, inquiring in regards to the safety provisions. I'll be honest with you, on behalf of those residents in that area, I'm just not too sold in terms of the fact that that building of that size and the number of those units does not have some level of full-time security on site. And I mentioned that, and that segues me to thinking about your buildings that you have at 1775, AK houses, MS houses, these, and I know this is a different project, but I'm just thinking about, this is a property owner that also has another property. So it's good to hear that you have new provisions for this new property, but I just would like to know, Mr. Toll, what are your plans in terms of your other properties that are dealing with the prospect of new development? And obviously you've highlighted a lot of the public safety challenges in the surrounding area. And also there's, I believe, an estimated 69 open violations. MS Houses has 49 violations. 1775 has around 131. I've visited the property. It's obviously that there's been neglect or disinvestment. What are your plans if you've been able to do this with the Carolina or Lexington Gardens too? Can we expect some movement in terms of these properties?
Chris, thank you very much for that question, Mr. Smith. Chris, I'd like to speak for a second about the issue of building condition and stuff, but would you speak for a second also about violations?
Sure. So
hold on, I'm sorry to interrupt. John, are you ready to move on to the next part of the agenda, which addresses the violations for the two buildings and the proposed project? Because that's the end too. Are you ready to move on?
Are there any more questions?
Then stay here with Carolina.
If not, because that was going to be the next presentation.
Okay, if you're ready.
Not yet. And I think there's another hand raised. I think Xavier has something to say. Xavier?
Yes, I think let's close out item 1 of presentation and discussions before we go to informational updates, where I think that is to be addressed. So I would recommend that let's close out this section with Carolina, and then we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so just quickly to touch on the Carolina security. When we originally obviously did the budget and put this building together, and closed in 2016 on it, and then obviously built it. You know, we never budgeted for security in this building. And we've just, closed the permanent financing literally a couple of weeks ago. So we need to get obviously a year of stabilized operations under our belt. And there's been many headwinds, with COVID and, inflation and, rising costs, but certainly something we would more than consider to look at. And if, obviously the budget, warrants it, talk about doing something as far as security is concerned on the Carolina. I will tell you that we've been working diligently with NYPD on all of our buildings because crime has become, a serious issue in all the neighborhoods in Harlem. And we are working very closely with NYPD, also our security vendors that we employ at some of our buildings, trying to mitigate this and, obviously keep our residents safe, but it's a major, major concern for us.
If I could just say one thing for a second, sir. In terms of security, when this project was developed in partnership with L&M, as Mr. Spring has said, there was no provision in the budget for any live security. There are building staff who are there all the time. The NYPD is there all the time. But you are correct. There was no provision in that budget for live security. Perhaps one thing that we could do to work together, because we would like to work with you on any issue of concern, perhaps we could approach HPD and say, for a building like this that was built and developed and budgeted, perhaps before the crime issues became so prominent, and does not have in their budget, between the way it was developed and what's happening with inflation and costs going up, we do not have it in our budget for security. Is there a way to get some kind of a subsidy grant or something from HPD in communities like East Harlem where you are having issues with unlawful behavior? Is there a way to get perhaps some kind of a subsidy that would cover that kind of a service that was not planned for, not budgeted for when this property was developed?
Thank you very much. Before we go to the next presentation, are there any other questions or comments that we made? I see Candy has her hand raised.
I do.
Yes.
Maybe it's too, maybe the hand is too light on there.
Can I?
Candy has the floor.
Okay. So Mr. Proud, I'm sorry, Mr. Tao, but I remember so clearly and so vividly before you came to the Land Use Committee, the one of the biggest thing was brought up was definitely public safety, the lighting of Park Avenue. I know I'm always been very vocal about making sure that we have safety and enough lighting on Park Avenue, because Park Avenue is a problem. It's always been a problem. And especially late at night and during the nighttime, you can walk around there right now and the lights are very dim. It's not enough. And you clearly knew that was one of the asks that we were asking about, and we mentioned that, so if you didn't put it in your budget, that must have been an oversight between you and your developers and your partners. But the truth of the matter is that I don't, that should have been factored in, or maybe you should have asked an elected official to give you some type of, initiative money for it or something like that. But one thing for sure is that was brought up when you came before the Land Use Committee to discuss about the Carolina and presenting to us. That was a big ask there, and I brought that up myself about that. And you guys said that you were going to have all of that, and you implemented it on your presentation as you kept as the progress of the presentation of the development was going on. So if that what you're saying was not included into your budget, then that was between you and your partners and the whole developing team. But that was brought up, and it's gonna always continue to be a problem. You have buildings in Park Avenue that is between Lexington and Park. The dangers that are going on, and I'm not trying to beat up on you or anything like that, but I'm giving you as a matter of fact thing. This is not something that is new. Even when you brought the Lexington Garden the first time around, there was a problem happening in that area as well. So coming into East Harlem, you have enough properties to understand and know exactly the public safety issues around it. And if you're going to develop and bring in more tenants and also the same remaining residents of the community, then you knew exactly what you're coming into and what is needed. I mean, it's one of our community needs that we've been asking about all the time. Park Avenue, to me, it's always going to be a question. It's always going to be a subject that I'm going to bring up about the safetiness and giving enough more lighting, you know. So I'm not only going to tell you about it, but anybody that's going to do anything on Park Avenue. So even if you walk down Park Avenue right now on 115th Street, we're borrowing the police department's light so we can have enough lighting. And we can't rely, and I can't believe that you're just relying on the police department just because they're right there, that it's going to be a matter of safety for the tenants or for any pedestrian or anybody there, because the liability on you. But you know, the truth is that you can't rely on the police department. People are going to do crime even in front of the police or even around the precincts. So, you know, I just want you to know that we already brought that up, and you in good faith said that you were going to make sure that there's going to be enough public lighting and safetiness for the residents, especially within that perimeter of the area. So I don't know if you remember that conversation, but we can always go back to our records and see that. So that's what I want
Thank
to
you, Ms.
point
Vasquez.
out.
I don't know if I
Okay.
recall specifically, but I understand completely your concern and I will respond to it. Chris Spring is more familiar with the lighting structure outside the building than I am, and he will, I think, speak to that. But if somehow we can improve lighting outside the building to provide for better security at night, I can tell you we will take a very serious look at that and try to do that. I thought that what was being discussed a minute ago was actually having live security personnel at the building. That was a different issue. But if you were talking about lighting, we will take a look at that and see whether, if that needs to be improved, if that can be approved. Chris, can you speak at all about the lighting that's there now to try to address Ms. Vasquez's concerns?
Yes, I mean, we had as part of our design review with HPD and also with city planning, we had extensive conversations about lighting. We had a lighting consultant involved in the project, and it was all approved. I personally think that there's adequate lighting on all four sides of the building. You know, it was definitely a concern of the community that the building wasn't lit up with a lot of lights pointing down and creating, you know, light pollution. But, you know, if it's something that, you know, people feel there's not enough lighting, we can certainly revisit it. But there are a fair amount of lights surrounding the perimeter of the building that were designed by a lighting consultant. And they were also approved by the various city agencies. And there was a lot of public comment on lighting and security. Listen, I totally understand where you guys are coming from. And, you know, New York City is a totally different place than it was 2 or 3 years ago. As far as crime is concerned, it's a major, major problem and a major focus of ours and a major concern, to be perfectly honest with you. And we are working on a daily basis, you know, with NYPD's various units to try to mitigate it throughout all of our properties, because we are seeing a huge uptick in crime for sure.
So you're saying the lighting that's in place now was approved by various city stakeholders as part of the development of the project?
Absolutely, and it was we discussed it at length, and we had a lighting consultant, you know, design it along with Curtis and Ginsberg, our architects, so that it was bright enough but not too bright. We weren't, you know, causing light pollution, which was an issue at the time. But, you know, I personally feel there's a lot of light on all four sides of that building. But if the community thinks something different and it's something we need to add, we could certainly discuss it. More than open to it.
Okay, Ms. Vasquez, maybe we can do a little field trip after dark and go over there with a few folks, anyone who'd like to come, and let's take a look at the light seriously and see what it is. And if there are areas where it needs to be improved, then let's improve it.
Okay, that'll be great. I mean, and I'll wait for your next presentation, but it's gonna be all the same thing too. You know,
Okay.
public safety is a big thing. And I just want you guys to understand that, you know, as you're developing, to consider the safetiness of the residents that are gonna be there and the whole perimeter. You famously have been plagued by a lot of, you know, violence and crime in your development perimeters, you know. So something has to be well mitigated, and not take away no security companies or anything like that. You know, if it's a budget issue, then it's something that needs to be revised or looked at. You know, move around your budget or something, moderate it, or fundraise or something. But you know, we really have to have some safetiness for the individuals. It's about quality of living. You know,
Yep.
it's not about the quality of collecting a rent, you know, it's more
Okay.
to that. Thank you.
Okay, I agree.
And
Um,
one other thing I'd like to just add is on Lexington Gardens 1, our affordable housing building that is right next to the Carolina, we do have security in that building. Just wanted to mention that we have both unarmed security and we have armed rovers that patrol that building.
Thank you. Dawn?
Yes, thanks. I didn't want to keep putting stuff in the chat. I wanted to make sure I shared those items. I am also very concerned about lighting. I had a business for 14 years, a few blocks south, and then an office a few blocks north for several years also. And you know, just even looking at some of the crime apps, Park Avenue has become a very popular escape route. Okay.
Yeah.
So it almost is encouraging that if you're going to commit a crime, definitely run towards Park Avenue, because you can probably, under the cover of all that darkness, get away. So, you know, that's something that I'm concerned about as I see Citizen app and I see other apps showing exactly where people are running off to or getting shot at. It's increasingly in those underlit areas. And I just want to bring one more thing up about lighting, which is that when I worked on Sandy recovery, you know, I'm not going to name any architects, but architects whose names I've heard came up with beautiful designs. And we had a security person come to NYCHA developments in Brooklyn and say, this looks beautiful, but from a security standpoint, this creates too much shadow. So I understand that this type of design collects stormwater and then pushes the stormwater out, and that's what we want. However, from a security standpoint, this design is very flawed. So I think, you know, a lighting expert is great if that lighting expert has some sort of security background, or if you're working with the PD, work with them and make sure that your lighting, you know, the lighting expert should know about security and shadows. And there are, I'm sure the precinct would be happy to look at design plans and let you know whether or not your lighting is aesthetically pleasing, or is it, you know, does it create eyes on the street? Does it create safety on the street? So I would just add that onto there. And then also, I think you were saying to Candy that it was an either or, and I don't think we want either lighting or live security. I think it was in addition to, because as long as the lighting
Both.
is right, both, as long as the lighting is dim, it's going to become and remain the most popular escape route. The shooting that happened on Park a few days ago, the police were out for 4 hours with flashlights because they could not see shell casings. 4 hours. So people see that and they realize, if I'm going to commit crime, why not do it here? There's no lighting, nobody can see anything, nobody cares, nobody's looking. And I just feel like once that attitude you know, is perceived, then it becomes very, very difficult to maintain the safety of your properties. So
Okay.
that's it.
We
Me.
agree. We'd like to continue that discussion for sure.
Okay, Dawn, thank you. Marlene, are there any questions from the public, or can we go on to our next presentation?
I don't see any hands raised from the public regarding this item, no.
Okay, well, on to the next presentation then. Okay. This is the update on tall prop equities. This project would consist of 2 mixed-use residential buildings to be built on the east side of Park Avenue between 126th and 127th Streets. TPE Manhattan North Management will report on how they have addressed reported housing violations at their 1775 houses and AK houses properties, which neighbor the proposed project site. Okay, so, let's say, so, are you ready to
Yes, this is Chris Spring again. Yeah, so the gentleman before touched on 1775 houses and the violations. So last year when we spoke to the committee, I believe it was mid-February of 2021, 1775 had over 100 violations on the building. Of those violations, all except for 20 have been removed, fully removed from record. Now, we have gotten new ones since, and the building currently stands as of this morning that it had 129 HPD violations. Of those HPD violations, 50 violations have been inspected and we are awaiting removal from HPD. And the balance, we are awaiting a new HPD inspection dismissal date, but all the work on all of those violations has been completed and is either in the process of being removed by HPD or we are awaiting an inspection. On AK houses, when we spoke last year, we've removed all violations that predate that meeting, with the exception of one. That violation has been corrected and is awaiting inspection. And AK houses currently has 68 violations, of which 13 have been inspected, and we are awaiting HPD to remove them from record. And the balance, once we get a new dismissal date, will be removed, but all physical work inside of the units that were required for both properties, the work has been completed. So, and look, we take violations extremely seriously. Unfortunately, they're a fact of life and we deal with them. We'd love to get it to zero. And that's obviously constantly our goal.
So Chris, so you're saying that for the violations that are still on record that have not been physically removed from the record, you're saying all the work has been done on those? So even the ones that are showing on record, you're saying have
Yes,
been physically corrected?
correct. The 129 violations as of today at 1775 houses. 50 of those violations have actually been inspected by HPD and they're in the process of being removed. The balance we will get removed when we get a dismissal date. We've submitted for it. In AK houses, there were 68 violations as of today. 13 have been inspected and are being, in the process of being removed by HPD. And the balance, the 55, once we get a dismissal date, provided we have access here, those will come off as well.
Okay.
And also, one thing I would like to just note as well is, there's been a severe backlog in getting inspections from HPD because of COVID, and there was buildup of violations, across the board. They're working through them, but it's not as quick as it was a few years ago before COVID. But we acknowledge the violations, and our staff. We have Shanta Walker, who is our property manager, who was on this call. Works extremely hard with the residents to take care of these issues.
Okay, so, well, it is appreciated that barring inspections, that you've complied with everything that was not working in the building. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Katie.
Yes, I'm sorry, but given that this whole weekend has been like a shooting corral up on Park Avenue, because even where I live at, I thought it was like right in front of my window that there was a shootout this whole weekend. I live on Park Avenue, by the way, so I have to disclose that I know. But growing up Park Avenue, I never lived on Park Avenue until I became an adult, but it has always been plagued, like Dawn said, It's always been plagued to be everyone to do their dirty deeds or whatever it is. I need to make sure, and I want to hear you say in front of everybody that you guys are going to do something about 1775 and this new project you have in mind to do, and AKA, but the existing right now today, that you have safety measures somehow, some way for the residents around that area. I mean, you don't no longer have, from what I'm hearing, you no longer have any more security company. Why you took that away? I really wouldn't understand.
Candy, that's totally incorrect. We have security at both 1775 and AK houses. We
Mhm.
have unarmed security guards. We have armed security guards. We also have a command center in 1775 in the back of our management office.
Is that 24 hours?
Excuse me?
Is that 24 hours?
Between the armed security, the unarmed security, and the command center, we have 24-hour coverage at both properties. And I will tell you, I personally have been working with NYPD extensively to try to get some movement and some additional resources at 1775 and AK, amongst other places, by the way. There has been a tremendous uptick in crime in the neighborhood between the methadone clinics, also directly across the street from 1775. They put in that new facility where people can come and safely have drugs administered to themselves. There's been just a tremendous uptick. Also in, gang violence in the neighborhood, huge uptick. And the other thing you have going on, which I don't think people realize, is the Metro North Station is kind of a hub. Kids come from Westchester and Connecticut. They come down to 125th Street. They buy drugs in one of the adjacent blocks, and then they go back home and obviously use them. I had a meeting about a week and a half ago with NYPD right after the shooting on a Friday afternoon that Joe Tall referenced. We met with the NCOs, the new commanding officer. They were bringing back anti-crime as of March 1st, which is today, and also the Narcotics Unit. The Narcotics Unit is utilizing our building for surveillance. They have remote access to our camera systems. We have given them keys to every door and every gate and every possible means of egress on our properties, roof access. We are working with them and literally begging them for additional resources. They committed to bringing 2 towers to 1775 and AK, one to put in the courtyard, one to put out on 126th Street. They have increased to some degree, but we're certainly not happy with it yet, the amount of patrols they're doing inside the buildings. We've given them access. We've given the watch commander keys. We're literally begging people to help us here because we have over 400 families live in these 2 buildings alone. We have a lot of children, and there's just a lot of nefarious things going on in the neighborhood. Not to mention you have beautiful new developments right down the block from us. You have a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind cancer facility down the block. And the neighborhood is being overrun with people that have drug addiction, mental health problems, all things that obviously these people need services and need to be addressed. But, the residents of the building and us as the landlord, we also need some help because we're committing, tons of resources and dollars to security. But the security guards and, armed or unarmed, only have so much authority. And when NYPD is called for a lot of these people, now that they've taken away the no trespass affidavit program, there's not a lot of recourse that even the police department has to move a lot of these people that are doing, not great things. So, we need every possible resource we can get. We're working tirelessly to try to get, some results from the various agencies.
So have you had any type of, I know that because of COVID, we can't be congregating so much with, having closed-in meetings, but somehow some communication or meeting with the tenants and also hearing them out and coming up with a solution. So this way everyone can have some type of input that maybe can be helpful as well. You know, I
Absolutely.
don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out because at the end of the day, it's about the public safety of everyone. And you have on your panel and audiences and on the phone, residents that are from AKA 1775. Even ourselves, we have family and friends and loved ones that live within your neighborhood and your development site. And, you know, let's not forget about what happened to Cheyenne, you know, sitting on a bench, you know, and innocently got shot, you know, and there was a, you know, young life lost. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if you invite also the collectors of the residents, the ones that really live there, boots on the ground, you know, to help out and give, you know, listen to what they have to say, exchange some type of solutions, you know, not just only the police department. I wish they would bring back the trespassing program because I think it was very effective, you know, and maybe it's something we have to look at and see what happens now under the new administration. But I think that I didn't hear anything of you mentioning your communication with the tenants being involved and giving input as well. So if you need to have a meeting with the residents, you know, have some type of plan of action with them as well, you know.
We have been working with the tenants. You know, I know, just for example, a guy like Jim Ratty, you know, has been very vocal on the subject matter. We've been working with elected officials. I mean, before the summer of 21, we sat down with the elected officials and pleaded with them for increased secure patrols in the, you know, 1775 AK perimeter and corridor. We thought that it was going to be a bad summer. You know, it was a bad summer, you know, in Harlem. We've had conversations with all elected officials, NYPD, our tenant associations. The tenant associations have been going to the police meetings as well. The last meeting we had, Jim Ratty did not attend. He was unable to attend. But yeah, they've been present for this. And, you know, again, everyone is asking for the same thing. The unfortunate part is, you know, you hear it's budget, you hear it's, you know, lack of manpower, you hear it's turnover at the precincts. There's a lot of excuses that are flying around, but we 100%, you know, need something more than just the security we have at both buildings in order to solve this problem, because it's a large problem, it's a major problem, and it's, you know, it's number one thing that's on our minds.
As Chris is saying, Ms. Vasquez, you know, we are working actively with NYPD on these crime issues. You know, they're a little frustrated too, you know, with the changes in bail reform and the number of people who Chris was telling me a few weeks ago, over a weekend, the police pulled 7 guns out of the courtyard at AK in 1775. 7 guns, one of which was a fully automatic M60 machine gun. And the police told Chris that within 24 hours, all 7 of those people were back out. It used to be in New York, remember New York State? If you were caught with an illegal gun, it was 2 years in prison, no discussion, no explanation, no nothing. Remember when the football player, Plaxico Burress, his gun fell out of his pocket, and 2 years, no discussion, 2 years. So now people are being caught with guns. I mean, this new DA, Alvin Bragg, actually wrote a memo, which he now has changed, but he actually wrote a memo that said, if somebody commits a gun crime, like if somebody walks into a bank with a gun, puts the gun to the teller's head, robs the bank and walks out, if they don't actually fire the gun, they would not be charged with a gun crime. They would be charged with a non-incarcerable misdemeanor. Now, I'm sorry, but a person who takes out a gun and commits a crime is a dangerous person. If they didn't fire the gun, in that case, they may fire it on another occasion. So we need help. And just as, you know, we go to HPD for more subsidy and more help with affordability, maybe we should all work together to go to the NYPD, because I think the NYPD, you know, I think our legislators in Albany and in some cases in the city are doing all of us a disservice by not treating crime as a serious problem that it is, because the problem with bail reform, in my opinion, is that a very tiny percentage of people commit most of the serious crimes. And if you constantly let them out, they're just going to keep doing it again. The overwhelming majority of people don't commit serious crimes, but those that do, and that do it over and over again, I just don't see how they can just constantly be let out.
Right. So, but that's why I'm saying that I think that you should have a meeting with your residents. I mean, it should be mandatory that everyone attends and you all are there and come up with a solution. You understand? Because then this way you can all also make your own resolution and bring it to the elected officials, just the same way you're asking HPD for subsidies and we want quality of living and quality housing development. But it goes hand
Yeah.
in glove, public safety and quality of living is the same thing. So I just feel that, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, having a meeting once again revisited with your residents of all these properties that are being affected by all this crime, that they can also somehow work together and also support each other. I'm not just saying you support them, but they support you, and everybody can speak collectively all as one, speaking out loud to get the public safety around those perimeters. And if you feel like the elected officials are not supporting you on that, then that's why you have your residents there. And you have
Yeah.
more than 400 residents. So that's more than 400 voices speaking all at once, that do have an input with voting,
You're right. You're right. Just as, for example, housing advocates, go up to Albany by the busload to
Right,
advocate for
because I
housing
do it.
laws. Right. We should get folks from our community who are unhappy with the lack of, proper law enforcement, lack of, police presence. We should go up to Albany by the busload and say,
Mhm.
we
And
demand
demand.
public safety.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm happy to go up there. I'll
Yeah,
bring
and
snacks for
and
everybody.
I know you could afford the buses, so
I'll
but I
try.
just think that you should have your meeting with all your residents. This is what I'm talking about, working together, unifying, and making sure that their voices are being heard just as well as yours. Because
Right.
I'm gonna tell you right now that a lot of your residents are gonna be very upset if you're gonna start developing a new site and you're still not taking care of them, and they're feeling left out. And here you're gonna come and build something new, and the new residents are going to get all the amenities and all these other things they don't have. It's like having not even a stepchild, just having an unfavored child that you don't even care about. So
Right. I
I
got you.
just think that you understand what I mean.
Yes,
Thank you.
I got you.
Thank you very much, folks. Xavier?
Yes, thank you. And before, I know I see one of our committee members, Dawn, put her hand up. I do want to reference that we have Jim Ratty from 1775. He is on the call. And we have Anne-Marie Vasquez from AK Houses. They're both on the call. And I would like them to have the opportunity to speak. I've looked at, and I remember back in February when you presented to our land use committee, and we said, and we raised a lot of these issues. Now, when I looked on HPD's site earlier today, the numbers that were shared just now are not reflective on HPD's website and what was presented by Talprop just now. So there is a discrepancy there we need to address and have handled. The other thing too is that there was quite a lot of issues when it comes to mold. I know that Talprop received capital funding to correct a lot of these issues. So I'm again surprised to see any at all for this particular circumstance. And again, this was raised as a reservation because the capital funding was providing. So the claim of, oh, we don't have the funds, so we really shouldn't see this. But I would like, before opining on that, if you would have, John, if you would please have Mr. Jim Ratty and Ms. Anne-Marie Vasquez speak, because
they can't see me.
Their point of view is very important on this, because I have done walkthroughs on both those sites and I'm deeply disheartened. And again, our Public Safety and Transportation Committee has been advised to take on the issues that manifested not just from the past 2 years, but also the past 10 years, because we have seen a downward slide. And for those of us who have roots here in New York and remember what the 70s, 80s, 90s were like, there are a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, lives that were spent advocating for improving our community, and we'd like to see us not slip back. So, John, would it please you to have Jim and Anne-Marie speak before Dawn, or since you're chairing this
my
committee?
point actually was referring back to something that they said maybe like about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and I just wanted to be clear on those public safety issues. But I'm definitely happy to wait until they've spoke. I do want to just put out there that I owned a business for a long time in a very hot area, and businesses do have a certain amount of responsibility to get their own lighting and cameras. Nobody bought me a camera, but when someone was shot, they wanted to see the footage of my camera. And so I guess what I wanted to say is that before we expect the NYPD to do all this stuff for us, I mean, as a business owner, I had to go out and talk to the local drug dealer and say, hey, could you stay over there? Could you go over there? That was on me. The NYPD didn't help. When I went to the precinct, I was told, and this was maybe 15 years ago, and at the time, there were cops who were part of the problem, okay? And they told me, don't come to these meetings because we have a problem internally. So if we're looking for NYPD to do everything right and the DA to fix everything, you know, each business has to also figure out, what do I need to do as a business? How do I need to run my business to be safe? Because the NYPD is not going to come and do it, and the legislators are not going to come and do it. As soon as you open the doors of your business, you have to take those safety measures. So anyway, I apologize for putting that in, but I just want to make sure that we understand that from a public safety perspective, the NYPD can only do so much, especially if they're compromised at any time with their relationship with the people outside their doors. So that's it. Thank you. Sorry,
Thank you.
Xavier.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, Mr. Ratty? The
Yes.
floor is yours.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Yes, I can.
Okay, fine. Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Jim Ratty. I work very closely with Joe Tall and Chris Spring. They're both wonderful people, but they're not here all night long, so they don't know what goes on here at night when they're not here. As per their security, the security is not very good, Chris, and you know that better than anybody else, even though you're not here. And we've said that to all the management. Every meeting we have, we complained about that security. I've even sent pictures to them. I don't know if they still have them. Security actually falling asleep in the booth and the things that go on. Now, security is sitting right there, and we have maybe, let's just say 14, 15 people standing right there in the lobby, and they don't even get up to tell them to move. Okay, I have seen security put paper in the door, and when I said to him, you can't put that paper in the door. You have to. The people are not secured here. We got into a big argument, and the dealers, and it was crazy. But what the security guard said to me is what freaked me out. And of course, I called Ritz and everybody else. He said to me that he don't want to keep getting up to open the door. He's not supposed to open that door, not even for the tenants. And yet he's opening the door for the buyers that come to buy there, and they use our backyard. Now, the tenants are not entitled to use that backyard. We're not allowed to use the backyard, fine, because all them dealers is back there doing what they want to do. And as per the shootouts that you were mentioning back there, they go on because they're allowed to go back to that backyard, and they should not be there. And you know, you could sit there and say that it's tenants. Most of those people that are selling here are not tenants. I assure you they're not tenants, because if they were, they wouldn't be as rude and nasty. I mean, every day, tenants are coming to me complaining that they can't walk in or out. They have to have their masks on. These people don't wear masks. The people that come to buy the drugs don't wear masks either. So it's dangerous for us. You guys are not here at night. You don't see what goes on here. And also that M35 bus, they have a call that if you're not there by so time, you don't get a bed. They don't worry about it, because then they come into 1775 houses, and your maintenance staff knows that they've taken mattresses and stuff and actually woken people up. They have a good security guard, NYPD guy, Pete. The boy don't play games, so they know, but I barely see him out here. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard, Chris, especially when they all stand in the vestibule. And the other day, I don't know if you can see on the camera, I had a conflict with one of them there, and he was gonna pull out a gun on me. Until, of course, I went to call my nephew, and everybody else came down here to chop his head off. Then the story changed. But this is what's going on here. They're already getting a committee together. We're trying to get 20 people together to stand in that lobby to actually take them out of here. I mean, we're going to do what we got to do, you know, to get them out of here. We're trying the best we can. Security sucks. And I'm being honest, and Chris likes to hear it straightforward. Chris, security sucks. They're not doing their job. Nobody's supervising or watching them. If somebody was here seeing what they did or what they do, okay, then you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. And you're talking about cameras. You got cameras there all day long. What good is it if my tenants are getting robbed? And then, of course, they'll let them know later. But what if they killed in the process? You know what I mean?
Jim, I hear what you're saying. I'd like to have a sit down with you and I and Chris and Pete and John Prado to talk about this. But I'm not sure, you know, when you have a live security guard standing there who's an unarmed person, and you have dangerous people all over the place, again, with that safe injection site now that's opened across the street and everything else that's going on there.
But you know what makes that bad, Joe, if I may? What makes that bad, Joe, is that, and I'm sorry, but what makes it bad, and I want you to understand, that site there, after they do whatever they do there, then of course they can come over to buy more drugs here in our building and in our lobbies. And that's where the problem is. We got to get them out of this building.
And Jim, there lies the issue. Jim, there lies the issue with the no trespass affidavits being removed by the DOJ. Even the NYPD, we had them in last week. They have no recourse. If a person is not doing something illegal inside the building, they have no grounds to remove them.
Selling drugs.
It doesn't matter if they live in the building or not.
Selling drugs is illegal. Chris, you got to look at the camera late at night and you'll know exactly what I'm doing.
No, Jim, I understand what you're saying about the camera, but you just have to understand one thing. We have Pete is one of the armed guys, right? He's armed.
He
tells people to move. He calls NYPD. He can't just shoot people. He won't do that. He's a
but they know him and they're scared of him and they move out. And that's
he moves people all day long. But they move from one point of the building to another.
I know.
And the reason why they do it is because there's no mechanism.
Chris, please hear me out, please, because you're not listening. Apparently, what you're not seeing is that they're hanging out right there in front of the door and the vestibule, blocking everything. When they had those other guards there, that young lady, Rosa, they wouldn't dare stand in the building. She told them they got to go on their way. And the building was perfect there were girls that were here doing
Jim, I understand that, but that's when the no trespass affidavit was in effect.
Okay.
You could get people out of the building. You
point.
can't do that anymore.
Mr. Spring, I just want to say this.
Hey, everyone, hold on a second. John is chairing this meeting. The back and forth needs to be respected, please. So, John.
William, let Mr. Wright and Mr. Spring continue their conversation and raise your hand, please.
Okay, I just wanted to say that just to finish up, I hear you on the mold. As you know, I've had mold in my bathroom, and because of my condition, my doctors have called the office and have called Yaritza, and they've come to take care of the mold 4 different times. Now, as you know, I've worked in real estate for 30 years. So you know damn well that I know that ceiling has to be taken down. Otherwise, the mold is going to continue to seep through no matter what they put up there. And this is the 4th time now, and it's beginning to seep now. And they just did it 2-3 days ago. So what I'm saying is something got to be done with the mold. And lastly,
we'll take a look at a different solution there, Jim. Thank you for pointing that out.
And the last thing is the parking lot. Many of us have, well, I have parking back there. I'm not worried about everybody else. And you know, and I know once this building is built, are you going to secure that we'll be able to have parking once this building is done, once we move out of there? I mean, I don't plan on moving from here. I've been here 43 years. Unless I drop dead or unless the Smile gives me an apartment across the street, I'm stuck here, you know? Not that
we hear you.
because I'm very comfortable here and I like it here, you know?
Jim,
and
we are
guys,
obligated.
but you guys are not here all the time to see. And that's my point. I'm sorry.
All right, we are obligated to replace the parking that the parking lot represents in the new buildings, and we absolutely will do that.
Thank you. I needed to hear that because nobody seems to have an answer to that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Vasquez?
Hi, how are you? I'm Anne Marie Vasquez, and I'm the president of the Tenant Association at AK Houses. And a lot of you guys know me in a personal level and know that I'm a patient person. I'm a nice person, and I help people in this community because I'm born and raised here in Taino Towers. So not a lot of people know me and know how I am. Even Candy knows me since I was 11. And I'm a good person, but I'm angry. I'm angry because, and again, I don't mind people building here, but how are you gonna build and then forget about us? AK, we have a lot going on. It smells like sewage when you go into the building. That's been going on for years. I've been there 25 years. And it's just, I feel like the building is falling apart. On Sunday, there was a shooting went from the lobby all the way into the second floor, and I live on the second floor. My son, my 12-year-old, was about to leave with his father and take those staircases when they ran up shooting. I mean, I'm angry because we haven't had heat, and I know Shanta's on the call, and Shanta knows I harass her every day, and she knows this, even at 3 a.m. And at no heat since January. Yes, there was a whole week without heat. Yes, they came to repair, but we still having heating issues. It goes on and off. I have to see a doctor because of the cold in my apartment and the stress, because not only there's it's cold, but there's this horrendous noise, and Shanta knows because I've sent her the voice, the recording that comes out of that heater that don't let me sleep from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. I work in the community, by the way, in Borinquen Neighborhood Health Center. And it's just, I don't understand. I don't understand. Why are we going through this when I know I pay my rent and many others there too. Why are we going through this? But yeah, you guys want to build in the backyard. I've never met Joe Tal, never met him. Okay. I never had a meeting with him. Chris, one time I met with him with Jim and Wanda when we were fighting to get security because they took the whole 24 hours away. And we fought to at least have two shifts. Okay. And that's the only time I met with Chris. So yes, Candy, that would be amazing if they can help us. How can Shanta, and by the way, we never have a super. For years, we haven't had a super. The only super that's running all 3 buildings is the MS super, and he's overwhelmed. We never have a super because they leave. There is no support from you guys. Shanta could do but so much. And yes, Shanta's been doing amazing. And I think she blocked me because I don't get her to answer me anymore. But Shanta and Lucy, they've been doing a lot. But without your support, what else can they do? And if you work with us, the tenants, a lot of us been there for a lot of years. My ex-husband's father used to be the first super there, Aleman. Many people know him. And that was one of the best buildings here. Again, I'm from Taínos, but I heard that AK used to be back. And then back then, a good building when he was there. What's going on? No super, no security. By the way, one of the apartments right next to where I live is a storage for all the tax paperwork from all the buildings. And do you know they went in there, they trespassed, and they were creating a trap house there? If I don't let Shanta know what was going on, God knows what would happen. It's just like there is no security, people sleeping in the staircases. It's a mess. And before you go build something nice, because I'm sure those apartments are going to be beautiful with all these wonderful things now. We living disgusting. We're worse than NYCHA, and I'm sorry to say this, and we're not NYCHA. I'm just baffled. I don't know. I'm angry, and it takes a lot to get me angry. I think you guys should take care of us first. Thank you.
Any
Chris, do you want to address any of that? We have a
Yeah, no, I mean, look, as far as the heat was concerned, there was a period when we had very limited heat, and we had an issue over like a 4 or 5 day period getting electronic parts for the control panel there, which has been resolved. So 100%. And as for security is concerned, like I said, both buildings have security, both unarmed, armed, and then we have a command center that cover the 24-hour period. And it is, again, without having more NYPD involvement and also laws on the books that they can enforce, it is a continuing issue. And Jim, I hear you, and as Vasquez, I hear you as well. But it's a revolving door. I mean, to Joe's point, NYPD has taken people out of there on gun charges. They were booked at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. They were back to claim their property at 11 p.m. at night. These are people that had guns in their possession. It's an ongoing issue. It's gotten progressively worse over the last couple of years, and something has to happen for sure. I fully.
We have a super there, Chris?
No, not at AK. I don't know. You guys have one on training, but they don't last long.
We have a super at AK, Chris, or no?
Super AK was there. Super was there for about a month, and he took a position in another building downtown. We're actively sourcing a super right now.
Yes.
Okay.
We have,
I'm gonna be
we
honest
have
with
Angel
you.
from MS Houses
Angel.
covered.
Angel from
Yeah.
MS is covering the building.
And Angel's
If-
amazing. Angel's amazing. But he's overwhelmed. That's 3 buildings. That's a lot for one person. And also what I've heard from the supers, because I asked what's going on, why you guys leave, it's because they say there's no support from management. I don't know what that means, but that's what they say. And I know, I'm not gonna lie, it's not we don't have the best residents, but you know what it is that they are frustrated too.
Well, I mean, look, these are union positions. They're not minimum wage positions. And again, we've had in the last year, we've had, significant turnover, all across the board for various reasons. Some of them were health related. Others were, people pursuing different opportunities. It's been a challenge, not just for us, it's been a challenge across all industries. But, hopefully in the next, couple of weeks, we will have a replacement super for AK. And in the interim, it's being covered by our building staff.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Smith?
Thank you for ensuring that Mr. Ratty and Ms. Vasquez were able to highlight all of the significant challenges and visible challenges for that property in that area. I was encouraged from the one point in terms of what Mr. Toll said in terms of supporting a potential lobbying effort in terms of our advocacy with the NYPD in terms of expanding staffing and funding, and the need for us to make amends to those laws. So Mr. Toll will be following up with you and holding you to that, because like you said, it's important that we all work together as we work to address these issues. But I just want to make sure, just highlight something that's a little discouraging. And then we just think about this from a professional perspective. When any of us have a review with our manager and we're given constructive feedback, I know it's never advisable to have all of this exchange. And I was very discouraged by the posture of Tall Prop when Mr. Ratty and Ms. Vasquez highlighted the challenges, and your posture is completely in a defensive mode, when it would be better if you would just listen and schedule a time to meet with them, both at an advantageous time for you, and also when you could see when the activity is occurring where possible. So we need you to really hear them out and stop having a response for them other than a tangible response in terms of resolving the repairs. So they need your help. We're all here to help you, but you've got to hear them out and you've got to produce results. No longer can you continue to give excuses when the residents every month have to pay their rent, and just like you have to pay your taxes to the government for property taxes and all the other things. So we all have our requirements. So let's just work together. Thank you everyone for your advocacy. And Tall Prop, we need you to do better for those properties and all of your properties in your East Harlem CB11 portfolio.
Can I just say something? I'm so sorry.
Ms. Vasquez, you can, but you have to raise your hand, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say one thing. There is a resident in my building, and I just found out about it. She's had her clothes stuck in one of the one of the machines in the laundromat for almost a week, and no one in the management office has been able to help her.
Do you know what unit she's in?
She's an AK.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just address?
Ms. Walter, one moment, please. Xavier?
Right. Thank you, everyone who has attended this meeting. At this juncture, the way I see it is that I think it would be best if everyone on this call from Tall Prop, or at least the leaders on this call, along with Mr. Ratty and Ms. Vasquez, and as well as MS House's TA leader, I believe I was informed thereon, we do a walkthrough post haste. And yes. For those that know me in the community, I work as a producer in film and entertainment. Most people think we're on the cover of Us Weekly. No, we're the grunts. We get the work done and we remove all the excuses. So what I'm going to do is recommend this Friday, if Mr. Ratty and Ms. Vasquez can make themselves available, I would like leadership from Tall Prop to show up and we do a walkthrough on all 3 locations and we cite everything. It is very disconcerting to hear the security issues such as wads of paper. I know that happens in NYCHA where rocks are put in the door to allow ingress and egress of those who are not gaining access through buzzing. So I think it would be great if we can all sit down, and I welcome those other members who have the time to give, and we walk through and address everything. And again, back to my earlier point, with the capital funding and a lot of the items that were cited as violations, I have deep concerns, especially having an intimate experience with mold infiltration, that if you don't nip it in the bud properly from the source, it will continue to present itself. So I'd like to hear from Talprop on their willingness to do so this Friday.
That's fine by me.
It's fine by
Okay.
me too. Yeah.
Okay, and from Mr. Ratty, Ms. Vasquez?
Okay.
Fine by me. I'm not far. You know, I work nearby.
All right, Mr. Ratty?
I'm definitely, as you know, I'm retired, so I am home, so I know what goes on.
Okay,
I'm here.
all right, good. And any of those other members, I know, Mr.
Yes,
Smith and
I'm fine with
a
it.
few other, yeah, so, okay,
Yes.
thank you, Ms. Walker.
Yes,
Okay,
Xavier,
very-
the political representatives will be in attendance.
Okay, great. We will schedule a time. John, I'm going to hand this back to you. I appreciate everyone being here. This is very, and again, I come from this, and many of us do as volunteers on the community board, from very humble roots. Again, at one point, you know, I value affordable housing highly. My dad grew up in Millbrook projects. At one point, when I lost my job and the tech bubble burst, I lived out of my car. So I don't want to see any human, and especially any human in this area, live under these circumstances. And I know we can make those solutions together, including our advocacy both at the city and state level, which is what I'm hearing from both all parties here at this meeting. So thank you very much for your willingness to engage. We'll get a round robin email and get a scheduled time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, and to end all this, I would like to say this. I think that should be the beginning, and also it should be a series of meetings between management, the residents, NYPD, and to work on things like lighting and the people who were talking about mold that says that's still there, that hasn't been done properly. It's a series of meetings with a series of people, but I think it's absolutely necessary to get something done and to remedy all of these problems. And that's it for me on that.
John?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not, it's up to you if you want to entertain it, but I know that Will Lopez joined this meeting for this specific agenda item. I do see Nina Sachs's hand raised. If you would like to entertain these that are raised, it's up to you. If you would like.
You said Will and Nina?
Nina Saxon, they're both.
Okay, fine. Yes, they can speak. That's not a problem. Okay. Whoever wants to go first, Will, Nina?
Will is up first in the queue.
Okay, Will?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much for allowing me an opportunity to speak on this. I've been listening intently and taking notes on this. I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Vasquez, Wanda, and Jim earlier today about their concerns with this issue, and I have to echo their concerns. We cannot continue to allow developers to continue to build new developments while not taking care of the portfolios they have. And to address something that has not been addressed yet, in order to not be repetitive, I'm concerned at the fact that the response as to the level of unsafe conditions, the level of issues that are happening in terms of security, is being pushed on back onto the residents. This is a form of victim blaming on the part of the developer, and I think it's inappropriate. It is ultimately the property manager's duty to keep the building safe. It is not for them to blame issues that are outside of their control, like the police or whatever else is happening in terms of policies. They still have to make sure that the building is safe. That is their obligation, and they cannot discharge that obligation for any reason. So if residents have been complaining for the better part of 40 years, and I understand that, Ms. Tall has not owned this building for 40 years, But if residents have been complaining about the same unsafe issues again and again and again, and nothing is being done to address it, or at the very least, not enough is being done to address it, that to me, rises to the level of negligence, maybe even criminal negligence, and is something that should be, explored further. So I will gladly lend my voice and lend my, services to the residents to help them in any way I can. And if Mr. Ratty and Ms. Vasquez and Wanda allow, I will gladly be there on Friday to help support them as well. This is something that has gone for too long, and I will end it there, but we cannot continue to allow developers to blame residents for the issues that are happening because of their negligence. That is all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Will. Nina, floor is yours. Nina?
She muted?
I don't
If,
see Nina.
if you're speaking, Nina, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Right, John,
It does-
Nina isn't in the queue anymore. Maybe she had technical difficulties or she had to leave.
Oh, okay. All right, so okay, well, I want to thank everyone for the for their comments. This was a lively discussion, to say the least. Okay, so
Okay.
okay, so on to the next. Okay, so informational presentation to the planned 1908 Second Avenue project. This project will consist of a 12-story mixed-use building on the corner of East 103rd Street and Second Avenue that will include a total of 178 rental apartments. Are the people from Boulevard Development here?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We are here.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening.
Do you have a presentation, may I ask?
Sure, I can bring up some images of the project.
No, I'm asking because I would have to stop sharing, but if you would just like to speak to the committee, that's fine too. Do you have a presentation?
We can just speak.
No problem.
Hi, so you have Nicole Anderson, Jim Lester, and Eileen Glass, and also Jason Salatani from Boulevard. We're constructing a new 12-story mixed-use project, as you outlined here. The unit count has actually changed slightly. It's 164 units. We have a 30% affordable included in that number. We're currently in construction. So we were asked to present to the board following a prior community board meeting a month or so ago regarding the flood protection system that we're implementing at the ground floor of our building. So we have a commercial ground floor with the residential units above. So far, we do not have a tenant in line for the ground floor space. It's around 13,000 square feet. We are considering local needs when looking for tenants. Jason, maybe you want to give an update on where we are with construction?
Sure. Right now, we are currently about 70% done with construction, and we are on track to be done sometime in June. We are leading towards trying to facilitate a better date, but right now we're looking to be done around June.
I can just chime in a little bit too. My name's Jim Lester. So the project started in April of around April of 2020 Obviously, the pandemic was a bit challenging for everyone, including for us. So, we had some basically sort of heavy equipment and machinery on site. We were trying to, maintain the social distancing, et cetera. So we were able to proceed. We were delayed slightly. So as Jason said, we're planning to be complete probably in sort of a phased turnover this summer. So that's a sort of general sense, and just chiming in a little bit on the retail, we're considering ideally some kind of food use. I know there's some sort of grocery offerings in the area, but we're looking at supplementing that. That would be a sort of an ideal. So if anyone knows of any tenants, we welcome them. And just now, as we sort of enclose the building, Jason could talk a little bit about it, but we're, have more labor kind of coming on site to build out the sort of interior. So the work that we had been doing before was kind of superstructure and facade work. So.
Correct. We're about to start our heavy internal build out program. So Jim's right, as the building has been topped off and enclosed with the outer walls, we've moved into our interior finishes program, elevators. So we're going to be expanding our labor force a bit as we move into that program.
I think it's worth also mentioning, obviously, we heard all the concerns that were just voiced. So, we pride ourselves on operating a first-class facility. So, we'll take it back to the design team and make sure that, the security is sort of implemented and we have on-site presence all the time. So, but I just want to mention that.
Yes, I would definitely just reiterate that everything that Jim said. We've heard everybody's voice here on this board meeting, and we are definitely going to take a look at some of these things just to make sure that we're staying on top of the community's concerns.
The company's built over 100 buildings, and we have a lot of affordable housing all over the boroughs, with quite a large presence in the Bronx. So we have some familiarity with all sorts of different types of challenges.
Is that your total presentation?
Yeah, it's really just an overview of kind of where we are. Yes.
Okay, I've just gotten word from a couple of communities that there were no images, there was no presentation that they could see, and I didn't see any either. So
why don't we show some? We'll show some images of the building.
Okay, well, that's appreciated.
Okay, I think it would be helpful.
Can everyone see my screen?
I can see it.
Great. So this is a view from 2nd Ave and 103rd, kind of looking at the corner of the building. As we said, it's a 12-story building. The commercial space you can kind of see down here with some potential retail signage along the sidewalk. We do have lighting along the perimeter of the building, and also back here is actually the residential entrance. You can see all the residential units above. There's additional lighting that you don't really see here at that entrance. We also have, in light of the security comments, we do have security cameras positioned along the perimeter of the building, as well as along with all of the kind of public use spaces within the building.
And those doors are going to be operated with a security feature with a key fob as well.
Yes.
It's a brick and steel facade. It's, tries to be sort of contextual, with sort of a modern take on the context, the neighborhood context.
All right.
Yeah, another. These are just more elevation views versus renderings. This is along Second Ave.
The rendering image sort of gives a better sense of what it will actually look like, I think. This is more illustrative, but.
I see.
And that would be the entrance side that Nicole has up on the screen now, where you can see the entrance space on the left. There we go.
Yeah. So you can start to see some of the sidewalk lighting here, and this area actually below. You're not seeing it in this rendering, but there's several downlights there.
Inside the lobby is a security desk. You can see 80, wheelchair ramp.
So it's ADA compliant, great.
Yep. Yeah, and so the flood protection system that we will be implementing, I'll pull up the rendering here. It would be installed outside of every commercial entrance at the ground floor, so it protects the commercial spaces as well as the building systems that are in the cellar.
Nicole, I believe there was a question earlier about amenities. Do you want to just briefly just describe them?
Yeah, sure. So for the commercial spaces, there's commercial storage in the cellar. And then for the residents, we have, you can kind of see it here. It's a rooftop terrace, as well as a lounge area that kind of looks out on the terrace, and a gym area, as well as like a kind of a media room.
All residents will have access to those amenities, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's right. All residents also get storage and bike space.
Okay. Okay. Now I have a question. The thing is, you said that the 30% of the apartments will be affordable, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So using with my bad math, out of 164 units, that's roughly 50 units.
That's right.
Am I close? Okay. And one other question: how will you work with the community board to market this to community residents that may be interested in residing there?
It is an HPD lottery. I have to determine if there's a community board preference. Typically there is, where we go out to the community first, but I need to confirm that for you.
I do see there is a question, a hand raised on the committee. Candy?
Hi, thank you. And thank you for that presentation. But I think that I'm not trying to be offensive or anything like that, but we would have liked to at least in advance, even after this meeting, that you provide us with your presentation, because at the end of the day, especially if you getting some fundings that HPD is going to be subsidizing, we would like to see exactly what it is that you're giving to the community, because you are getting some public funds, and how we can be engaged in making sure and ensuring that we are getting out 50% of the community preference into your building. Whoever's your marketing group will be able to provide your outreach, and it should be well outreach so everyone can have access to have the opportunities to be able to apply and be a candidate to be a tenant to your development. The other thing is that I don't see where, I would like to also see what is your unit breakdown, income breakdowns by unit. I know you said that there is going to be 30% that's going to be affordable, but the word affordable is just thrown around out there for whoever could afford to pay rent. So if I could afford to pay $3,000, that's affordable to me. It's not affordable to the next tenant, residents of our community, So I would like to see what are your income guidelines and what are your income bands per unit and per floor, and besides the amenities of the bicycles and all that kind of stuff, I really would like to know what is it that the tenants are getting inside their apartments for the affordable side. Are you gonna give them the same thing? They're getting dishwasher, washing machines in every apartment. Your whole presentation doesn't give us a whole schematic of your project here. So I'm a visual person. I like to see. You could tell me about it and I can think about it in my mind, but I like to see, and seeing it, everything in place, it just lets me know the transparency of what's coming into our community, especially we're going to be, the residents, you're using tax dollars. So I really like to see that, and I hope that I know you didn't come prepared to give that to us, but I would like to see it when Marlene sends it to us tomorrow or whenever you get around to do it before the full board. And I thank you for coming to present to us.
Sure, no problem. That makes sense. We'll provide additional images of the interiors for you.
Okay, thank you, Candy. Beverly?
Yes, thank you for the presentation also. Actually, John and Candy asked the questions that I was, two of the questions that I was thinking of asking. So thank you for that information, and thanks Candy and John for asking about the marketing and the breakdown of the AMI units and what amenities that they get. I also want to ask the developers in regards to the units, the total number of units. You stated that it was 178 units at the beginning, I guess, of your presentation when y'all had to do ULIP or whatever, everything to come to get this to be put together. But now you're down to 164 units. Can you tell me why you have that loss? And how would that impact the affordability for the 30% I guess you said that it's supposed to be affordable. And also, what is that 30% affordability numbers also? Thank you.
I think the reduction is just sort of overall tweaking of the building as we kind of developed the plan and dealt with setbacks. So the 178 was an initial estimate. We also expanded amenity spaces and things like that. It shouldn't impact, I don't think it really impacts the affordability. We're trying to do efficient units to keep aggregate rents down generally. So that's sort of one of the strategies or one of the components of the building. Nicole, do you know more about how the unit count changed over time?
No, I think just seconding what you said, and some of the, I guess, unit types have just been switched from, like a studio to a 1-bedroom, where we expanded the footprint of some of the units.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the reason why I asked, because I've seen this happen in other developments, and they come to the board and they're going to tell us how many units they're going to come with, and we always seem to be at the as they progress, that the unit seems to get less. We do like to have enough affordable housing here in our community. So if you go down on the number of units that you propose to have at the beginning, that means we are losing some units that, even though it's from 178 to 164, it's 10 or 12, 14 units, but it's still units that could have been used that we probably were looking forward to when we gave the okay for things to be done. And I don't want that to be something that happens on a regular basis, which seems to be happening in Community Board 11, but since you're already like 70% complete, if you have any more developments, I wish that you'll take that in consideration, that, if you're taking away apartments for amenities, hey, We'd rather have apartments. Thank you.
I guess we should clarify, this is a project, as of right, it's not a ULURP.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so it's as of right. Okay. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. All right, then. Thank you so very much. But again, when you're getting public funding, does that, you know, when you ask for the public funding, do you get that for the 178 units? And then later on change it to 164? You know, how does, you know, financially, how does that works out?
It's actually, it's privately financed as well. But we are, you know, we receive the tax benefit. So there's certainly a public component to it, but it is privately financed, unlike other projects where there's sort of public financing.
So you didn't get any public financing for this project from HPD, anything like that?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, thank you so very much for the answers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Dawn?
Thanks so much. And, you know, I don't generally give any kudos, but I do have to give some kudos on the resiliency, because that is a critical issue, especially along First and Second Avenue. And so the flood resistant resiliency is a really big deal. The lighting is a big deal. The security is a big deal. So 2 kudos for that. But to my tougher part, I'm really hopeful that the amenities are shared with all of the residents. I've heard from a lady that her father is, he's a senior, he's not allowed to use some of the amenities in another building that he's in. And I just would hope that the amenities are applicable to everyone there. And then I also hope that, you know, if you look for local partners to rent your units, I hope you look for some diverse local partners. We have, you know, several different ethnic groups. And I sometimes think that the partners are, you know, are not as well versed in all the different ethnic groups. So I hope your local partners are diverse. And then this is kind of like my wish list, but, you know, if you have lobby space, we have local artists. It would be great to see some local businesses have pop-up shops on your ground floor. Again, you know, these are things, obviously you don't have to do these things, but it would be really exciting, you know, since you're doing such a thoughtful project, to think about some of those economic opportunities, some of those art opportunities. And then hopefully you have parking. No
parking.
Wow. So that's a real issue we're dealing with right now as well. So and maybe that's a topic for another meeting, because it seems like the last 5 or 6 projects that I've heard about have no parking. And I don't know how we make that. I don't know how we make that work. But that's not for you to answer at this point. But anyway, I gave you my few things. I mean, diverse, you know, get diverse local partners, maybe some art in the lobbies, maybe some local businesses do pop-ups, you know, something exciting that would revitalize that street. So that's all, but kudos on the resiliency. That's really key. Thank you.
We appreciate those ideas too. Thank you.
Yeah, those are, yeah. I just to clarify, yeah, the amenities and all the stores are open to everyone, and there's no charge for any of it.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions from the committee? Are there any questions from the public? Hands? No hands, Marlene?
No, there aren't any hands.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation, and we hope to see you again in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're in the home stretch, folks. With this long day's journey in the night, which is partially my fault, which I apologize for. We talk about our favorite subject, the budget. Okay, The Housing Committee is tasked with reviewing the budget as it relates to our scope of work. We will share our feedback for inclusion in the board's written response to the Office of Management and Budget. Okay.
John, you went on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. There are some things that we requested, and the thing is, there are a couple of things that are funded. There are some things that weren't funded for myriad reasons, and I remember one of them at least, that it says that they need like more information, or what they basically, in my opinion, they need statistics on the number of people and things, or things like that. And that's something that we would probably have to come up with, and I'm not sure if we can come up with that like immediately, like this. It's a thing where we just have to take a look at our at our request. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at this? Because Marlene, our written request our written response to the city council it's due within the next couple of weeks, is it not?
Yes, so the written response is due to OMB by the 21st. Public testimony is being accepted until the 16th. So John, if you would like, we could go item by item and read out what the agency's response was. And if you guys have any feedback on the floor, I will write it in. If you don't have any feedback tonight, I'm going to go to the office to say that the Housing Committee didn't have any feedback and that they're accepting the agency's response as written. So like to do that, John?
Absolutely. Yes, please, Marlene.
You have two hands raised. You have Beverly and Candy.
Okay, Beverly?
I'm gonna wait till we go to the budget line by line, because I understand that you're talking about there's asking for more information. I know one of the requests for the TIL program was one of those response from the agencies that they needed more information. So I'll wait till you go through it line by line.
Okay. And
Candy has her hand up.
Candy, please.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. I know that I've been kind of like hogging up the meeting tonight, but I don't mean to. It's just out of concern. But Ken, I don't want us to go without stating that we're not going to have any input. I've been trying to print this out and take a good look at it. If you could just send that to me again, I would really like to print it out, because I really wasn't able to open it up for whatever reason today with the Google Sheet. So
right, so it's all on your board member drive. You guys all have access to this. Candy, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
So I would have to take down the screen, go inside the board member drive and send that to you again. That's what would have to happen. I can't do things simultaneously when I'm the one sharing the screen.
No, that's fine. That's why I said that by email. I was trying to open it up and I couldn't all day. For whatever reason, it could be on my end, that I don't, because I do have the sheet, but it was just not working. But what I wanted, because I really want to take a good look at it and actually have some type of input on it. That's why.
So what I'm trying to understand your request.
I just don't want us to go out there without unless I misheard what I'm saying. I don't want us to be without any type of input, like going back and saying that the Housing Committee doesn't have any comment.
Right, so it's not like October where you're creating a request. This is, you're responding to the agency's request. Right. And well, I'll just restate it, maybe I was misunderstood. If you all don't have a comment, it's okay if you don't have a comment. So if something was supported in this, I would have to go through it all with you again. I mean, there's no reason to make a comment if it was supported. Is that more clear?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
no problem.
Okay, anyone else, Marlene?
I don't see any more hands raised.
Okay, well, let's go through this line by line.
Okay. So the first one I'm highlighting, this was the new one, I believe, Beverly, this was your request, I believe. No, the second one is yours. The reason it says NA is because it wasn't it didn't have a previous tracking code for fiscal year 2022. If anybody has any questions why it doesn't have a number near there. So the request was expand loan programs to rehabilitate multiple dwelling buildings. And the reason that this committee gave was to expand the home repair and preservation financing multifamily housing rehabilitation loan program in East Harlem. The expansion of HRP will incentivize necessary building improvements while preserving and creating additional affordable housing units. That went to HPD. And the agency's response was, the agency will try to accommodate this issue within existing resources. For the agency, if anyone's wondering what this number is, so in October, every single budget request that came out of every single committee went to the district needs and budget committee, and they had to prioritize the budget request. So that's what this number is. And then the agency category description, the agency agrees with this request, will accommodate in part. So there's not fully accommodating this. That's what it means. Do you all have additional comments or follow-ups that you would like to give right now on the floor? Beverly, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I have a question. And am I to understand that the agency gave a priority to this as a priority 3? Because I thought that we also gave a priority to the to our request. I thought we did. As this is the agency.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, I'll restate that. The agency doesn't prioritize, the board prioritizes and sends that priority to OMB, the Office of Management and Budget.
Okay, so the number 2 that we're seeing here where it says agency respond category only, category is a priority or their category number for them?
It came on our end.
For priority?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Does anybody have any additional comment or follow-up? If you don't, it's fine. John, you just give me permission to move on.
Okay, good. Yeah, please, Mark.
I'm not sure what I have to do to talk because I raised my hand. I don't know if it's.
Yes, Dawn, I'm listening.
Oh, okay, so my question for that first line item, it says in part, do they give any more detail about what part they're interested in and what part they're not interested in, or?
No, they didn't give any more detail. If you would like, request more detail.
Can we put in the comment, more detail, please? Because
as to what they want, yeah.
Yeah, as to what they think is part, right? And I have to apologize because I'm a little new, but that's still no excuse. But I was just wondering, you said this is all in our folder, our shared folder?
It's on your board member drive.
Okay, and so did we ever put 421A in this budget, or is this too late to add something like that?
Right, so you would have to do that in October for fiscal year 24.
Okay, so it's too late to say anything about 421. Okay, okay, I got it.
Right, so you're responding to the agency's response to your budget request from October 2021 for fiscal year 23.
I hear you.
Okay. Right, in October of 21, the mayor put out the response to the preliminary budget on the 16th of February, and this is what the response is. So you all did the heavy lifting already in October.
Okay, I wasn't here. So then if we wanted to do something for 421A, it would have to be next year.
For fiscal year 24, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Marlene, continue, please.
Just writing down Dawn's comment. Okay, next one. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this to move. Okay, so the next one, Beverly, this is what you, with the help of your committee, added in October. So tracking code 311202313C. Request was other affordable housing program request. And the reasoning that you all gave was provide 100% funding to the remaining TIL buildings located in the East Harlem community pertaining to the existing tenants and potential homeowners of less than 80% of AMI. This will ensure that these renters become shareholders under the HDFC program. It went to HPD and the agency more information is needed from the community board before making a funding decision. The community board should contact the agency. Agency category description. The agency requires additional information from the community board regarding this request. So this is not funded. They need more information from you all. Beverly?
Yes, I find it, I don't accept their request, I mean, their response, because they know the program that they have been putting in jeopardy for the tenants that's still in the TIL program and that has not gone into the ANCP program. But I would like to ask, what type of information do they need to know? Do they, they need to be more precise of what type of additional information, because it is their program. And with these two buildings within Community Board 11 has been in here for over 20 years in the program.
Okay, so can you call out the buildings? They need specific bill. I'm not sure, but
yes, the building, one of them is 2 East 127th Street. And full disclosure, I do live in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, I think it's 102 East 98th Street. Oh, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down tonight and just email me.
Yes. These are the last two buildings. In fact, it was in there when the board, when the heads of the committees met with the heads of the agencies, they spoke about these two buildings. They gave you erroneous information saying that council people reached out to the tenant association. We refused to, they refused to go into the program, but the tenants actually had some very great concerns about the ANC program, which is a much expensive program than the original program that they had, originally started out with it 20 years ago. And we have documentations from these years of them making our tenant association dysfunctional. With you basically, you were so fed up that you say yes to the ANCP program. So I do need some more information as to what they want for additional information, because it's their program, and they know the buildings, they know the struggles these buildings have been going through, and the ANCP programs that the buildings in East Harlem has gone into was out of frustration and just fed up that they was like, oh, we might as well take this. It's been 20 years. We don't have 20 more years to wait, but it's like they they forcing them into this program, you know, and a mortgage and everything. None of this was there. I mean, none of this. I mean, so for them to say additional information is needed is them, excuse me, pussyfooting around to try to get not address this problem. And it's not just here in this community board. Throughout West Harlem and Washington Heights, there's a lot of buildings that did not accept this ANCP program because of the cost of it, because of the responsibilities that was taken from the tenant associations with the ownership part and the mortgage. I mean, we've been going back since 2012. A lot of these buildings. I mean, a lot of them that had money already set aside for them to go into home ownership, but you had the quote unquote housing crisis. And then they come back saying, well, we all have the money. As soon as everything calms down, we'll start your process. But then when the process was cleared and we asked about the money, it said, oh, we never told you that. And there's several buildings on record that know that the HPD staffs and heads had told them the money was there. And there was a big meeting in June of 2013 at the Dempsey building in West Harlem, 127th Street. And the way, I mean, we got recordings. They didn't even want it to be recorded, but the tenants were so much outraged about this change with the ANCP program. And even their term sheets over the years have changed that benefit the sponsors and the developers more so than the tenant associations, who's been waiting all these years for home ownership, no mortgage, you know, and it's just ridiculous. It really is.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna have to move on.
Yes.
But I did put that in the additional comment. I don't see any more hands raised regarding this request.
Candy's hand.
Candy's hand.
Candy, your hand is raised. Okay.
I
My
agree with
eyes are on the
everything.
grid, not on the panelists. So that's
That's quite all right.
It's okay, Marlene. I know. It's
And Candy,
getting late,
thank you
too.
for all
must
the
be
questions.
tired.
Even you were saying that you was hogging everything, but you have great points. So don't think of you as hogging anything, because you've been asking questions that a lot of people have on their mind. So kudos to you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Listen, this is why we're here, right? To help each other and shape the landscape of this whole community and making sure that we have equal and fair share of living here, you know? So, but I agree with what Beverly is saying with the TIL program. And the problem is that I bet you the ones that are asking about getting more details is because they're new. And right now, the ones that started with the TIL program, and I'm only saying because, you know, the Black Association, the organization I work for, and I'm disclosing it, we were, and everybody knows, I've been saying this in the past, we, or those that don't know, we were giving technical assistance programs under the, what you have as subcontractors between the Black Association and GOATS. And that was to give technical assistance to help the tenants form board governance so they can save money and have escrow account to be able to purchase the buildings from the city. And then from there, they can continue once they have enough money is for them to purchase the building and have the rehab and everything and bring them back. And then some of them will be paying the mortgage for those that wanted to be the shareholders. And for those that didn't will be the renters. So when they're asking right now with HPD, these must be new people that they're not even remembering the history of where the TIL program started. And they're just picking up from the ANC, the new program that they changed the whole name and the dynamic of it. And the bad thing is like Beverly is saying, you know, after all these years, they keep telling you, pushing you off and pushing you off to give you the repairs, and that then they're going to be able to come back to a new, you know, building that's re-gutted and rehabbed, and you become a shareholder and you're an owner, and you're no longer, you got to switch the minds from being a renter into a home ownership. You know, they left it off for you have to take care of the tenants to continue those services, but it fell on the wayside. And then all of a sudden, you have is acquiring these same very building, or they're being recaptured. And what we need to do is to make sure that their funding is still in place for the existing TIL program people that still want to be there, because there's still other buildings that are there. And like Beverly, I'll get the other address so that you can add it on too. We need to make sure that these individuals go back into their history, in their files, in their records, and see how the TIL program really was structured. And we would like to get that right back, because you know what, it's only fair that we do a lot of home ownership. And this was the most affordable home ownership, you know, in this program. We cannot let it go down at all. We really need to have making sure that this, at least what's left of it, that it gets, you know, come into fruition, it gets completed, you know, because these tenants have really endured a whole lot, just so like that they can get to that finished punchline. That's what I want to say. So they really have to, you know, and I know a lot of them have retired, the ones that have been with the whole, that started with the TIL program all the way up until they became into HCFCs. A lot of them have retired. So the ones that are asking to get more questions is because they're new. And
So they
really
need to
should
meet
check
with
their
us.
history. They have to go back into history.
They need to meet with us.
That's right.
Yeah, they need to,
but we need to
them here.
request that, and we should put that
Yes.
on our agenda, Mr. Chair, you know, but I'm just saying and suggesting that we get people from HPD, from the TIL program, from that division, to come and have this discussion with us. And, you know, this way we have an audience enough to come into a solution, so they understand what we mean by they need more information.
Yes, we need to meet with them. Yes.
Sounds good to me. If it can be, if Marlene can arrange it, we will do our best to get them here. Because you're right. It's the thing is, this is something that's been going on for a long time, and a lot of people, if they were promised things and they went back on those promises, they should have a reason. We should ask them why. So, you know, but this is something that we will look into, and hopefully we can get them here.
Well, the agency, I'm sorry, John, but the agency response is that we need to contact the agency. So yes, if Marlene can get that up as soon as possible. I don't know if it's going to be in time for us by 3/16 or the 21st, knowing HPD, probably not. And this might be pushed even further to the 2024, you know, when we have to come back in October to do the 2024 budget. But it needs to be dealt with now. It really does.
But here's what I will say, and this is coming from me. The thing is that the city council will be having their budget hearing soon. And the thing is that they accept testimony from the public, but you do not have to be there to testify. They accept written testimony. All you have to do is have it there, I think within 3 days of the hearing, and it can be sent via email. So the thing is that if there's something that can be done, because at Beverly, since you are basically in this, if you feel that you want to do this, you can testify before the city council and not leave home. But the thing is, but we still would like to have HPD to come and explain what's up with the TIL program, where people are having a hard time taking advantage of it, and they've been waiting to take advantage of it for a long time.
Yes.
Okay, but Candy, thank you for your comments, and Beverly,
yeah, but can I also mention one thing?
Sure.
I'm sorry. It's just that right now with that new program that they switched from the TIL into the ANCP, they actually put managers to manage their buildings. And, you know, you're really taking away the tenants, you know, from actually, even if they choose, let that be their choice. Yes. To have someone to manage it for them, rather than to just say, okay, you know what, you're entering, because this is what they're doing. They're entering them out of the TIL program, taking them out of that, and then just giving it to, like, let's just say random XYZ managing company. They don't even know them from a hole in the wall. But they're giving them these people, they're shoving them down their throats. They're not
Mhm.
even giving them enough time to check their background, what type of services they really do provide. You know, it's like, it's not, it's just not right the way they're going about in this program for them. Like, take it as it is, or you get nothing at all. And
And
it's
that's
not
what we was
fair.
told. And that's what
And
we
it's
was
not fair,
told.
you see?
I-
So, no.
Even
I-
on record, that's what they told us. Even on record.
So
Alexander.
that has to really be addressed.
Yeah.
I understand what the thing is. I know no one likes to be forced into something. Everyone should be entitled to options. I totally agree. But if that's the last comment, Marlene, if you would, let's go on to the next request.
So tracking code 311202301E, request provide, expand, or enhance homeless prevention program / anti-eviction legal services. The reasoning: increase funding for cash assistance, rental assistance, eviction prevention programs, and preemptive legal services for tenants at risk of eviction. These services are especially vital as we approach January 15, 2022, which marks the end of the New York State COVID-19 emergency eviction moratorium that went to HRA. And their response was, homeless prevention is one of the agency's priorities. Funds have been allocated in the budget for these services. The agency agrees with this request, but the funding decision follows a different budget process, i.e. RFP, local level decision. The additional comment: expansion of cash assistance is out of HRA jurisdiction. Cash assistance is a federal and state funded program.
Okay. Are there any comments from the committee? Hands raised. What they're telling us is that we have to go to before the state legislature, before Congress.
Right.
So, Dawn?
So I don't want to slow our momentum down, but how is this affected by the mayor saying that he was actually going to cut funding to DSS, which is HRA and homeless services together? I'm just curious, how do these two come together? Because right now there's a budget cut planned, and I can even say from personal experience that there is currently a hiring freeze at HRA and dozens of personnel action requests that are being held up. So I'm just wondering, like, how do these two things come together?
That one I really can't answer, but the thing is this. There are so many things that are being said by so many different people. No one really, I don't think they even know which way is up right now. Because the thing is, I've said this in other committee meetings myself. The thing is that when you talk about cutting the budget by 3%, and only except for certain agencies, the thing is that I just think when you're coming out of a pandemic like this city is coming out of one, the thing is that it requires investment, which means you have to spend money. You cannot recover. You cannot recover on the cheap. That's just how I feel about it. So the thing is that basically the thing is, excuse my French, the government's talking out of their behind. So let us. So I'm not speaking for the board. I'm not speaking for you guys. I'm speaking for me. But this is how I feel about it. But the thing is that, but Dawn, the thing is, I really couldn't answer that question even if I was the wisest man on earth. I mean, so the thing is, I really couldn't. Candy, you have a question?
Well, can
No,
we, before
I'm
you,
sorry.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Dawn. It's just that
Can
Dawn,
you-
she said what I was gonna ask, because it's just like, this is,
Can we put something in the additional comments saying, hey, and by the way, don't cut HRA and DSS budget? Because, I mean, when I was at HRA last year, they didn't have enough people to do the cases. They didn't have enough people to open the sites. I just don't see, I don't see how, and as it is now, like I still help out for free pretty much because they need the help, but I just don't understand how I just feel like we should just say, and please don't cut. Not only do you increase it, but don't do any cuts at this time.
Well, Dawn, I'm going to say something.
Okay.
I followed politics for a long time. And I've heard all these things about cutting budgets and adding money to budgets and all this stuff like that. And I'm going to give you a spoiler on this. What's going to happen if things stand up like politics in New York City has for the last 30 or 40 years? The thing is, everybody talking about they want to cut this and cut that and cut the other, and they wind up not really cutting much of anything. And what they'll do, the thing is that because it's basically a negotiation between the mayor and the city council. And the thing is that they come to an agreement. And the thing is that that in all probability there may not be any cuts. And it really shouldn't be, because the thing is that this city has gotten money from the federal government as part of that Recovery Act. So the thing is that they can probably fully fund it at the same level it was funded last year and still keep some of that money around for a rainy day. But like I said, this is all just for show, and everybody wants to show that they're in charge and stuff. So but the thing is that we'll see. Okay. Any other comments? Any other questions on this budget, on this line item? No. Okay. Marlene, if you please, next line item.
311202320E, provide or enhance rental subsidies programs, increase funding for subsidies that help eligible low-income families to rent decent, safe, and affordable housing in Community District 11. The request went to HPD. Their response was approval of this request depends on sufficient federal/state funds. And then their description was the agency supports this request, but funding is not available at this time. The additional comment, HPD administered federal rental subsidies programs are subject to annual congressional budget appropriations. HPD does not have authority to increase the budget or number of vouchers made available by HUD because it is federal. So they're saying that the federal government is who provides those funds that the request is speaking of. And that's why they can't fund it.
Okay. And
does anybody have any follow-up?
Any questions, opinions? No? Okay. Okay, Marlene, next line.
Candy, there you have two hands raised.
Oh, I do. Candy?
Right. Okay, so they do, okay, they're right. It does come from the federal, but they administrate the funding for that, the vouchers, or right now there's some money that just came in the pipeline. I don't know when they responded back, maybe their response was before the funding was released from the federal. So I think they should, come back to that conversation and then give us another answer. All right, I think they should give us a better answer than the one they just gave you. I need to know, when did they give us back that response? Did they give it to us before or after the funding was released? And if that's the case, then I guess we need to write to Adriano Maloney, who now has, more of a bigger part in East Harlem. Everybody that is impacted by that within our district, then I guess we need to have a conversation with our federal level elected officials on that, and see that they can scrape out something, and including HUD, and have them, we need to bring everybody in, first of all, and have them all listen to what our needs are. But I think that this conversation needs to be revisited again. I'm sorry, that's my comment.
No problem. That's how you feel. That's not a problem. Dawn?
So I hit the buzzer second this time, but I totally agree. I think we should just straight out tell them, we're aware that hundreds of vouchers have come to the city. I think we have a year to go through all these vouchers. How are, did the receipt of all this new money and all these vouchers, does that change your answer? I know, not to give extra work, but I definitely agree that we need to say, oh, what we heard, you got some more money. What now? So.
Well, you see, the thing is that with all these budgets being like 3 months apart. I mean, like the state budget is next month. The city budget is in July. The federal budget is October. And the thing is that it's a thing where even if the thing is we do have to go to Congress, the thing is that it's not going to really affect fiscal year 23, because fiscal year 23 will already be in progress by the time Congress votes on their next budget. So the thing is that it may affect things for fiscal year 24 in New York City. But the thing at this point now, the thing is that even if unless it's an emergency appropriation, and that would be iffy from what I see. But we can ask. I mean, we can ask city, listen, how do we do this? How do we go about this? Where do we go? I mean, the thing is, if we have to hit local, state, and federal, the thing is that we may have to do that. Okay. Candy?
I just wanted to, because that with this whole voucher system and everything, I mean, as quiet as they're trying to be, they're sending people back to other states and willing to pay the rent for them to go back to their state and pay their rent. And the only reason why I know that is because, even though everything was shut down, our organization was still helping people. And there were people that were coming, that they're homeless, and they live in New York. And once they do a DOI investigation on them, because that's what they do, and then they find out, oh, you have a family member that you used to live. Let's say, for instance, in one case that I had to really get in and make it my business that I speak to people in HRA was that, and in the homeless shelter, they were willing to take this family and take them right back to Florida and pay the rent. New York City pay the rent to Florida for that family individual to go back, rather than to house them in a shelter that they're paying what, $1,000 and something per family, per child, per person.
Yeah.
So those are quiet things that they're doing, and this is where they're gonna say they don't have funding. Of course not. You're giving it to some other state. So this is very interesting to they really need to come here and talk to us, because also what happens when somebody dies and they're a recipient of vouchers? They recycle it? Do they open up and give it to a new family member? What are they doing? And these are things that I really would, I mean, there's too many things going on, and they really got to be right in front of us. There's too many round tables, and these conversations are being had, and these planning the city is doing, and they're not talking to us people that are boots on the ground, community board, have round tables with us. But if they don't want to do the round table with us, then let's get them to do the round. We tell them we're having a round table, come in and talk to us. So like that, we can really find out, what are they really doing? What's their plan? Because obviously their plan is not working, but we got one. We got ideas.
Well, Candy, thank you for that. But you see, they feel that the people are not as learned as they are. So the thing is, so we don't know anything. So, and in reality, you probably know a heck of a lot more than they do. But thank you for the comment. And also the thing is, I don't understand. I'm taking money from the New York City's budget and contributing to Florida's budget, and there's people that in New York City that need help. I don't understand it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Okay, Marlene, if you will, the next line item, please.
(311202310E). The request was expand programs for housing inspections to correct code violations. The reason: increase funding for specialized enforcement programs such as the Alternative Enforcement Program, the Program Preservation Program, Underlying Conditions Program, and the Anti-Harassment Unit inspections to correct code violations. It went to HPD. Approval of this request depends on sufficient federal/state funds.
Again.
The agency agrees with this request, but funding cannot be determined at this time.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Okay, Marlene, next line item, please.
Candy raised her hand, John.
Oh, Candy.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that, is this like their response with the lack of funding? Was it before the infrastructure fundings were released? That's all. If it was after, then okay. But if it's not, then they should, let's.
No, Marlene, these responses were received before the year ended?
These responses came into your emails on February 16th. That's when.
February 16th. Okay. This is basically like the same time that the mayor came up with his prospective budget and the Office of Management Budget sent us this. Okay, so basically, this has only been within the last 2 weeks. Okay, just want to know. Thanks a lot. Okay, Marlene, next line item, please.
(311202312E). Expand code enforcement, provide more funding for tenant harassment units. It went to DOB. The request not recommended for this request is not recommended for funding. The agency does not / cannot give priority to funding this request. Maybe they're saying it's not. Code enforcement, provide more funding for tenant harassment units. You guys have had this on your, well, as long as I've been employed with CB11, you guys have had this on theirs, and it predates me, and they always give the same response.
You
have Dawn has her hand up, John, if you would like.
Yes, Dawn.
We might have to do some digging and revise this because I don't know if it was the DA's office, but there have been new rules about anti-harassment, and all anyone has to do is go into housing court and now they have an application if you're facing harassment, and you fill out that application and then they look into it. That wasn't like that. It wasn't like that 10 years ago, but I know in the last 4 or 5 years, the anti-harassment has become a formal process. Because we used to have people who were like, oh, their refrigerator broke, and they were paying $50 a month for the new refrigerator, for 20 years. Just all kinds of things like that. So anyway, I don't know if this needs to stay here, if the housing court now has a formal process for.
All right, so this is not, sorry to cut you off, Don. This is not when you would remove this request. So in October, when you all revisit this again, then you would either keep, add, or remove or revise, right? So right now, if you don't have a comment about it, that's fine. But
Okay,
you
okay,
it can't be removed right now. It has to happen
okay.
over. Do you have a comment?
Any
No,
other-
thanks.
No other comments? Okay.
I don't
okay.
see any more hands raised.
Okay, Marlene, next line item, please.
Oh. So 311202313E, other public housing maintenance, staffing and management requests. Reason, provide funding for additional service vans, equipment, and staffing to assist residents with annual online recertifications, maintenance requests, service vans, and other technological needs, including establishing computer labs for resident use. It went to NYCHA. And their response was, in order to fund this initiative, contact local elected officials for appropriations. The agency supports this request, but funding is not available at this time.
Okay.
Has this been on here a long time? Oh, I'm sorry.
Any,
I don't, this specific one, no, this hasn't been on for a while. I think it's only been on for like a year and change.
no other comments?
I mean, when I was doing the census last year, last year was a year before, NYCHA had just gotten like 3 or 4 new digital vans, and they had gotten a huge grant to give laptops to seniors. And so I was just wondering the context for this, because I feel like there's been some investment, at least in the last 2 years. They were trying to give a laptop to at least 10,000 seniors who were isolated by the pandemic, and they were getting more funding for stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm just putting context. I'll try to think more about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dawn. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, Marlene, if you please, the next line item.
311202315E, provide, expand, or enhance community outreach on HPD programs and services. The reason was provide funding to increase awareness regarding housing vouchers and other HPD programs such as the DRE and SCREE. It went to HPD. Approval of this request depends on sufficient federal/state funds.
This sounds like the different song, same melody.
Yeah, Beverly had her hand raised.
Beverly, if you please.
Yes, it's so funny. You was asking whether or not how long certain things have been on the calendar, I guess, or request. The numbers that they have on the side, the 311 and so forth. The 3 stands for the Borough of Manhattan. 11 is Community Board 11, and then it has the year 2021 or 2023, and then I think it has the priority that the community board gave it when they did the request, and then the C stands for capital.
This is an expense. You're in expenses now, Beverly.
I mean, expense. So so this way, you could, if you look at those numbers, you can tell what year it actually started, and can find out how long it's been asked for when it was requested and given a number. I just wanted to give that information to help. I'm actually in transit, so.
Right. Do you have a comment about this last request that was read aloud?
No, no, I don't know too much about it at the moment for have a comment.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Beverly. Okay. Marlene, next line item, please.
Okay, 311202344E, other affordable housing programs request. Provide funding for returning veterans and families. It went to HPD. And the agency said more information is needed. I guess what was, sorry. From the community board before making a funding decision, the community board should contact the agency. And the description was the agency requires additional information from the community board regarding this request. So they're telling you all to contact HPD directly for the request for programs for veterans.
Okay. Any comments, any questions?
Do we have, could we at some point, I guess it's not critical now, but could we at some point meet with our local veterans groups? Because there's still a veteran shelter on 119th, right? In my, was it 119th in Madison? I can't remember, but
Overcrowded.
yeah, and there was a lot of issues. Could we meet and figure out the status of, are they overwhelmed? You know, did they get some money, or, you know, I don't know. Because then,
This is an opinion of mine. The thing is that city agencies love statistics. And the thing is, if they see numbers and stuff like that, and if you can convince them to move, they sometimes they will. You know, the thing is that they love numbers for some reason. And the thing is that this is what they're looking for. And the thing is, what they want the community board to do and get the numbers is that, okay, here, this is these numbers. We prove that that this particular group is in need of services. And so now, since we've given this to you, what are you going to do? And so the thing is that, so basically, but I mean, we can possibly find out, since there's a veteran shelter, like how many people are there, like what are their basic needs, and like besides housing and stuff like that. That's something I think that may be feasible. I'll talk it over with Xavier. Okay. Beverly.
So can we put in the response, put that in the response to them? And especially since they asking us to meet with them, do we put that in the response as to how readily are they able to meet with us before, you know, we have to put all this paperwork in?
Well, the thing is that what we do is that we meet with HPD. We said, well, listen, the thing is, we feel that there's a sizable veterans population in our district. The thing is, these people need housing. How do we go about getting you the information that you need? Yeah. And the thing is that, and when HPD comes to the table and tell us, the thing is, we'll do what we have to do and see if we can make this request feasible for the city to fund. Candy?
Okay.
I think that, you know, besides just checking with the new era veterans on 119th Street and Madison, we do have families that are doubled up, and you do have a lot of homeless that are veterans. You know, to get numbers, we would need to do a good outreach to make sure that when we do meet with HPD, that they can be part of the panel and listen in on what's going on, or somehow give us input. But we do have a big amount, you know, a certain amount of the veterans returning, you know, and then veterans, they're in the shelters themselves. Even though they're saying they're giving them some help, they're really stuck on housing. There's not enough for that. So I don't understand HPD's concept, but yeah, we should invite them in. Then, you know, they need to hear from us. We need to hear from them. You know, I mean,
well, from what I see here, HPD needs to be invited to talk about 3 or 4 things here.
Oh my God. Yeah,
that's true.
So
That's
the thing is that let's see if we can get them to answer a few questions and see what they need from us.
Right, but look, they opened the door because they're saying that we need to meet with them. So they're so absolutely so right.
Well, if they open the door, the best thing we can do is have the ability to walk through it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, goes with does it for our budget request.
I have a question for Marlene.
Thank you.
There's a question for you, Marlene.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes.
Yeah, Marlene, in regards to the meetings that the borough community boards have with the agencies, is that just for the heads of the committees and the agencies, or is that open to the public? Because a lot of these things, you know, once we make these requests, you know, we don't get the response back until February, and we start, you know, I don't know, from October to February when Angel and the district managers and everybody meet with the borough presidents and the heads of the agencies. So is it open to the public? You know, because sometimes some of these things that when we do the request can be addressed at that time, so we can have a better understanding or a better response from the agency when February come around and they give a preliminary.
I'm sorry, Beverly, which meeting are you referring to? There are several meetings. You gotta tell me which one you're referring to.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to remember the name.
I'm sorry, I'm not as sharp at 10:04. I'm just being honest.
I think she's talking about the
budget
consultation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah. So usually who attends the budget consultations is like the chair of the board. Could attend the budget consultations and the staff. Could attend the budget consultations. Usually Angel will attend on the behalf of the staff. So that's usually what that happens. And then there's the district consultations that happens over the summer. So a lot of the heavy lifting happens with the agency in regards to the chair of the committee.
Okay.
For example, we have district consultations. So that's all of Community District 11. And you'll invite all the agencies that the board deals with throughout your session. So you'll meet with HPD during the summer. You'll meet with DOE. You'll meet with sanitation. You'll meet with SBS. You'll meet with HRA, DSS, DHS. It's called district. And then those district conversations, we then funnel that back to you all to help your budget conversation in October. So the borough consultations and the district consultations. So you guys are constantly being bombarded with this budget talk year round. It's not October and February, and then the adopted is going to happen in May, right? That is not the only time that it's going to happen. It's all year round that you're having this. The most intense time is in October because the homework was being done in the summer and then in September, and then you get flooded with what the agency said in October, but all of it is being funneled on your board member drive. Like it's happening, like you're getting emails. So you just have to stay vigilant for when the email comes, because you for sure will get emails about the consultation and the responses to them. And it's going to go up on your board member drive and you can read it at your leisure. So if you're curious about the conversation from summer 21, just go on your board member drive, go in the district needs folder, and you'll see all the agencies that were spoken to for the district's conversation over the summer and what they said.
Okay.
You know, so it's at your it's put on your drive for your convenience to read if you have questions.
Okay.
Agencies, yeah. Is that I referenced 2 meetings. Did you have another meeting you were referencing?
No, those are actually the ones like I said, I'm new to this, but I remember going to the drive and seeing them. That's how I found out about the response that HPD gave regarding the Till buildings and those 2 particular buildings I'm asking for.
Right, yeah, so HPD gave extensive responses over the summer. So who attends these meetings? Is that what you asked? Again, I'm sorry, it's 10:07.
Yeah, yeah. That's just,
So who
yeah.
attends the meeting? So for the district consultation and the borough consultation, it's the chair of the board. And also for the district consultation, that Angel calls all the agencies in, well, via Zoom. It's the chair of the board, so that now would be Xavier, and then the chairs from each respective committee. So the housing related committees, John is still acting as interim, so he would attend those meetings for HPD and DOB and whatever falls under the purview of housing for the district's consultation.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
No problem.
Dawn? Did you have?
So, yeah, I just had a nugget of information that I guess should go on the public record, and I was hoping not to extend our meeting that much, but veterans do now, maybe in the last year or two, they can't be evicted from storage units, which is a big deal. And they can't be locked out of storage units. And that's a big deal because if you're a homeless veteran, you might be relying on the storage unit to have your, computer and your clothing and stuff you need for an interview and, things like that. And so we used to have to advocate for veterans. We used to have to call Manhattan Mini Storage or Big Apple Storage and beg them not to lock or sell the contents of veterans units. And I think that's recently been changed. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think it is a very important new law or new exception to the law. And we can probably, continue to advocate for our especially our homeless veterans. Make sure they know of some of these, these changes. And also they can get first pick at small business funds. There's a lot that people might not know about. So thanks, Candy, for putting it on the record.
Thank you, Dawn. But okay, I think that's it with the budget. I think we can go on to old business.
I don't think you all have old business.
Nothing on old business. Now we do have something on new business.
I think there are only 2 people in the attendees. I don't know if they stood the course with you all. I'll check.
Okay. Now
Yeah, Tamika Map is still here.
Okay, now the thing is that I'm going to say this. The thing is that I think a resolution for concerning 421A is very important. But the thing is that the resolution has to be fleshed out. And we give you give history and the number of the number of residents that, a round number, I guess, that all that takes time. So I'm going to ask the committee, is it okay if someone puts forth a motion to put out a resolution concerning 421A and it's worked on as I contact all of you within the next couple of days?
John?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm not telling you all what to do. But does the committee feel comfortable to take a vote right now? Are you guys fully versed on what this is? Because you can have them come back next month. The expiration is happening. It hasn't expired yet.
Right.
So I believe District Leader Will Smith said it's happening in June.
June 15th.
So next month, I'm sorry?
The date is June 15th.
Okay, June 15th. So you all can first figure out as a committee, who's writing the resolution. That has to be fleshed out because it'll just be in the air if somebody takes a motion.
Right.
And it's voted on, right? So you got to figure out who's writing this resolution.
Okay.
My advice and suggestion to you all would be to have them come back to you guys. You have to have a resolution ready on the floor to vote on.
Right,
just following a appropriate procedure.
right.
Then take a vote on the existing resolution and
Right.
not take a vote prior to anything being written. That's my suggestion to you all, but it is up to you as a committee.
Okay,
Are they gonna make us wait till the very end again? Like if they come back and
Mhm.
present, are we gonna have to table it till the end of the meeting again, or can we just
No,
handle
they
it?
would go under new business. That's why they're under new business now, because that's where a vote should be taken. It is business. So they would be under new business.
So we would have to, we can, oh, okay, so, but in terms of the time that it's handled in the meeting, does it have to always be at the very end of the meeting? Can it be earlier in the meeting, or is that?
Well, you guys can vote to move, right? So you guys will just have to take a vote in the beginning of the meeting, like, you know, someone would have to like vote and then second and vote to move new business to another section of the meeting, like put it after informational updates, right? But that has to happen on the floor,
Oh, okay.
right? Does that
I
make?
was ready to do a motion before, but now, you know, I'm not
Yeah.
really.
You're right, you're doing a motion, but you don't, there's nothing to motion on. There's no existing document. Yeah.
You're technically right, Marlene. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm not telling you all what to do. I want to be very.
I agree with you.
This is being recorded. You all, as a committee, could decide to do differently, but procedurally, that's what should be done. You should physically be voting on an existing document.
Right. Okay.
I
so-
think that there is a document floating around that went to the housing committee, it went to Brian Kavanaugh. And I don't know if Tamika knows where it is, but could we look at your document that you guys already sent to the housing committee about this?
You're speaking to me, Dawn?
I guess I'm just speaking generally because I see Tamika's his hand is up, but if Will Smith was still here, I would say, hey, send me that email with that letter that you sent to the housing committee, because that probably already has all the information. You could just piggyback off of that.
When was it sent to the housing committee? I'm sorry.
It wasn't by us. It was, Judith said it was sent last week to Brian Kavanaugh's office by Will Smith.
Oh, I didn't receive anything.
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying we could piggyback off of our guests, what they put together already.
Okay.
So
time to actually read through it. I mean, it's up to you. Yeah.
Well, not today. I mean, it can't happen today, but I'm just saying that.
Oh, you're saying there's an existing document already. You guys can just look and revise that one and make it sound like CB11's language and stuff. Is that what you're saying?
If we have to do it in the next few days, that's what I would say.
I mean, you don't have to do it in the next few days.
No,
The expiration is happening on the 15th. You guys can do it on your next meeting, right? So you can look at an existing document. Your next meeting, I believe, is the 4th of April.
Yeah, right, because it expires in 3.5 months.
Right. So you can do have a reso ready to, you know, review before April 4th. So when you're coming to the committee meeting, like you all have whether you're gonna yay or nay this thing in the meeting, you all will have viewed it already. Just figure out who's gonna write it. I can definitely assist. But the heavy writing with reso should come from the committee. It should be your language.
Okay, Candy?
So can we, like, if we can't come up with, you know, a resolution right now with a language right now tonight, can we have a continuous conversation on this, even if it's on a call or a quick Zoom or something, just specifically on this, if it's that you guys want to do this on a pressing time? And like Dawn said, you know, we don't have anything tangible that was given previously to any of the elected officials in advance. So this way we can support what they're saying and also add into any language we may want to add in. You know, I'm aware with the 421A, and definitely it's the ones that are really, it's not just the tenants that gets, you know, get affected by it, but it's also a development thing, you know, because that's where you get your tax incentive and your tax breaks from that, you know, and the homeowners and those that have co-ops. So we do definitely need to make sure they're protected, but we need to make sure that what we're gonna do and stand on and deliver is that we're all speaking in a unison language. But right now, at this moment right now, I mean, to put something together, it's, I don't know. I would like to have, if we could have a later, even if it's next week or something, it's up to you. You make the call.
I understand what you're saying, Candy. It's and I think that it's probably it is best. The thing is that if we can have a Zoom call or a conference call by telephone, it would that would help. That would be a lot better than just doing something off the wall now. I mean, so I
Right, just, I'm sorry, John, if I may interrupt. If, just know that if you all have quorum, you have to make the meeting public,
Oh, I see.
right? So just keep that in mind. It has to go public if you have, because your body of 10 quorum makes you 6. If you have 6 people attending a Zoom meeting, you have to go public. So you just have to let me know if you all do want to have a, you know, like an emergency meeting or something, and then, you know, I got to make it public.
Okay. Okay, now what that means is that let's see, a day next week where I would have to ask, is there a day where you are available next week where we could meet and make a decision on this, because it is extremely important.
Right, so I am not actually, but you can lead it, John, as the chair. I trust you as the chair. I'm sure your committee members trust you. I am not, but you can definitely do it. I trust you can handle it.
I know, because the thing is that you did, what is it, like 3 or 4 committee meetings next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, the thing is that, let me see, I have.
You don't think about this right this minute, John, right? So, but if you are going to have a meeting next week and you're going to have quorum, just tell me 72 hours before the meeting. That's when I have to post it.
Okay.
Right? So you tell me right now, just look at your calendar, see where you could fit it in, speak to your committee members, and see when it can happen, but it has to be posted 72 hours.
Okay, well, the thing is that let me ask, are any of you available Thursday of next week?
Let me check.
Because most of my committee meetings are on Tuesday. So
This Thursday or next Thursday?
Thursday of next week, which is the 10th.
Okay.
I have a question.
Beverly, question, John?
Sorry.
Beverly?
Yes, and okay, now, Marlene, you said that if you have 6 people of a quorum, it has to become public, and he has to give you 72 hours.
Yeah, whatever the committee's quorum is. This one happens to be 6.
Okay, so if anybody, would that's the 6, including the chair?
Yes.
Okay, including the chair. So if anything, so if you have 5 people and give 5 volunteers to meet next week to discuss it, then that can happen. And if don't have, okay, all right then, okay. So maybe we should ask, who can volunteer to do that. I don't know too much about the 421A. So I don't think I would be any help to you guys. I have to do some more research. All right, as long as you're all right, because over there look crazy. I just got scared. Like,
But if well, anyway, if the thing is that if there are other people on the committee that are available, like next Thursday, the thing is that we can do, and if hopefully the thing is, if it's what you can do, you can email me. And all I have to do, I just have to make sure that I let Marlene know by Monday of next week.
Right. That's how I feel.
So the thing is that, so if you can email me, or if you need to call me, I'll give you my phone number.
Tamika had her hand raised in the attendee section for some time.
I'm sorry, Miss Mapp. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chair. Tonight was like an informational session on the 421A, because I know we need a whole bunch of other things to flush it out. And so thank you so much for having such an importance with this as well. I will tell William Smith to send the letter to Maureen that he sent to Brian Kavanaugh, and I'll send some information that I have as well to the committee, so we can have the roundabout. For right now, we know there's 600 units, but if you look on the 421A at the HPD site, it's probably going to round up to 720. And I feel that, you know, we should be on the agenda for having another meeting so we can get all sides to the story, because there's more homeowners besides me and Judith that's going to be affected as well.
Okay. Well, the thing is that we can, thank you for that. The thing is that we can try to get HPD here. Now I can't guarantee that they will get here in April. And also the thing is that we already have one presentation for April, correct, Marlene?
Yes.
Okay, so the thing is that considering it is now 10:20 p.m. and with this long day's journey in the night, the thing is I really don't want to do another meeting like this. And also this was partially my fault anyway. But the thing is that, but for members of the committee, you can contact me at 646-436-6344. And just let me know if you're available for a meeting on Thursday, March 10th. And I need the information by the end of the week, because I can call, if it's a quorum, if it's 6 or more, I have to let Marlene know by Monday of next week, which is the 7th. Okay, so if there's nothing else on that,
Done.
Is that Candy?
Yeah, can you repeat that again? My computer's tweaking, and I kind of lost you guys for a minute. So if you're gonna do roll call, if I don't respond, I'm here. But it's 646-436-6344.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, I'm available.
Okay, now since that's completed, I think we can finally adjourn this puppy. Okay, now but before we go, the thing is Marlene has to take attendance. So Marlene, if you please.
1 second. Stephanie's out. Roger Flores.
I know he's there because he just sent me a text. I just texted him.
Thanks, no problem. John Green.
Here.
Robert Hargy.
Here.
Jada Heredia. Alonzo Johnson. Robin Krinsky.
Here.
Beverly Pavone. Beverly left. Dawn Sanders.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, present.
Candy Vivez Vasquez. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, listen. Oh, by the power vested in me by Community Board 11, I proclaim this meeting adjourned at 10:23 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being patient.
Of
Good night,
course.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.